This evening brings many people together, fully aligned with one common mission and vision.
The Light the Night event is an opportunity to celebrate survivors, to remember those who have been lost to cancer, and to recommit ourselves to the fight against cancer.
As a cancer survivor, I feel that Light the Night is very important. This event truly gives survivors hope.
When you see these survivors doing this walk, it shows you why you're here and why you need to continue to do better to find that next cure.
iFrog Marketing Solutions was born in a dealership. We understand that for our automotive dealers, you're only as good as your last 30 days. We understand that your website is your virtual lot, and we understand that you're always in a fight, whether it's for market share, inventory, brand awareness, or conquesting. At iFrog Marketing Solutions, our mission is to cultivate relationships that connect people and brands. You've worked hard to build your brand. We want to tell everyone about it. Our job is to get your brand in front of shoppers, show the shopper why you're the most trusted, and make you stand out in compelling fashion. On a monthly basis, we strategize and devise a plan to achieve results based on these principles. Serve with purpose. Every day, we ensure we're focused on the activities that deliver the best results. Act with urgency. Time does matter. Whether it's checking emails, launching campaigns, or swapping banners, our goal is to treat everything with urgency. Ask why. It's not uncommon for people to do tasks without asking why they do them or why they even add value. At iFrog, we teach the why and preach the value of asking why. Not only does it put meaning behind what you're doing, but it challenges our company to do better. Make bold decisions. We are risk takers. Putting thought behind the risks helps us be more methodical, and it's also our responsibility to learn from failures. Own it. Whatever decision was made, own it. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you did it and failed, own it. If you screwed up, own it. We'd much rather our people own it rather than shift blame to others. Do the right thing. At the end of the day, it's all about doing the right thing. Transparency and integrity are two key values, and our purpose is to always serve our partners to the fullest. Core iFrog services. iFrog paid search. Big-brained humans coupled with AI and machine learning to optimize search campaigns. At iFrog, you get the best of both of these worlds. iFrog social media marketing. Telling your story to the consumers, whether via specific targeted ads or engaging organic posts on your social media channels. iFrog website creative and management. The eyes will believe what they see. From your website to your social media channels to even non-digital platforms, visually standing out in the crowd is a major advantage over the competition. iFrog Local SEO. Your immediate vicinity is your turf. We ensure you appear organically as the go-to dealership in the area and even beyond. We were born in a dealership, and we know what it takes to help your dealership reach its goals. Contact iFrog Marketing Solutions today at 410-673-8278 or visit us at ifrog.com to get started.
The next player we will see has been making large leaps in automotive with a playbook made for publicity. Please welcome Kyle McCracken from iFrog Marketing Solutions.
It's a great honor to welcome our next guest. It's Kyle McCracken, who is the CEO of iFrog Marketing Solutions and is doing so much good work with dealers around the nation. And Kyle, this is your first time at the conference, so I'd like to welcome you to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted, thank you. I'm very, very happy to be here. Very grateful.
Hey, I think the audience is as well. And, you know, it was not, Kyle, in the far too distant past that when we talked about marketing for dealerships, we talked a lot more about the front end. And now all that has changed, and the focus is squarely on the opportunities that are in service and fixed operations. And Kyle, that's that's where you come in, because there's a whole lot that's happening. And I think for our audience, first, give us your story. Tell us a little bit about Kyle McCracken and iFrog Marketing Solutions.
Yeah. So, 6 years old, maybe 8. I remember my family has always been in the automotive business, for one. So, when I was 6, 8 years old, I was going to the dealership with my dad. I remember every weekend, and he focused on service and he ran service departments. And so I got a briefcase because I wanted to be like Dad. So I was running around in the waiting rooms and helping out with various different things. And so, having grown up, been around the business. And then when I was 16, I met my as of wife now, Angie, and her father actually owns Preston Automotive Group. And so my dad worked for her dad. And so we ended up getting married. And so we always joke around and we say, it was an arranged marriage. We're 39 now, or I am. And so my brothers, all of them are work for Preston Automotive Group. Essentially, I'm an employee. I like to say I'm an employee as well. But so there's automotive. And so when we talk about deep roots, I am deep rooted in the automotive space. And so I actually, having been around automotive, I spent a good career of my life in tech. And so, when I had the opportunity to join iFrog and ultimately lead it, it was focused on the technology and the technology stack that we used. And so, making sure that we're forward thinking into the future. And so I'm very excited and very honored to lead this company.
And, I thought that frog behind you looked familiar. Preston Automotive Group is very well respected throughout the country. A lot of the speakers here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and by those I mean Fred Beans, Bob Tasca, who's here with us at this event, have referred to Dave and what Preston Automotive Group is doing throughout the nation, and it's one of the best led dealership groups that I know of. And so again, that's a badge of honor. So is that kind of where the "Born in a Dealership" slogan comes from, Kyle?
Great question. Everyone asks it. What's up with "Born in a Dealership"? People want to know more, and so the story goes back to 2007, right? Okay. And so Dave was forward thinking, and he said, I had this physical lot, and what about my virtual lot? And so Born in a Dealership, we say it wasn't iFrog at the time, but it was basically iFrog was on the lot of Preston Ford back in 2007. And so 2015 is when we actually became incorporated, iFrog Digital Marketing or Digital LLC. And so we, as a company, took our lessons and we said, hey, there's other dealers that are going through the same struggles. And part of how this came about was they were pitched by vendors over and over and over. And they said, we're tired of getting, that honeymoon phase that a lot of us encounter. And so they capitalized off of what that was. And so the ultimate goal at my end of, look, it's Preston Automotive Group. We're tightly integrated, but it's taking the strategies and lessons learned in the testing, proving them out with the Preston Automotive Group, and bringing that to market for other dealers, right? Because they want everyone to succeed. I want everyone to succeed. So I think that's what's unique about Born in a Dealership. And so when we talk about Born in a Dealership, it's more than that, right? You and I both know every 30 days, that's how dealers are living their life, right? Day one of the next month, it's a new month, right? How can I be more aggressive? How can I capitalize? And so we understand that. We also know right now they're battling for inventory, right? Dealers are battling to get people into vehicles that they need. They need messaging that resonates. They need their virtual lot looking as good as their physical lot. So there's all these different things that we embody and teach our people, because at the end of the day, as a marketing solutions company, we drive high quality traffic to your virtual lot. And we know that if you don't get the opportunity to sell, well, then for the dealers, it's not an opportunity for them to put food on the tables for their, family and kids, So we take this very seriously and we understand And it's all about putting ourselves in the shoes of the dealer bodies.
And from my perspective, Kyle, let me tell you, when you say born in a dealership, how important that is. There are so many companies in this space who have representatives who have never worked in a dealership and have never come up and know the struggles that you're talking about right now, have not lived and experienced that inventory shortage. Although I can't remember anything quite like we're going through right now, but they don't have that retail experience, Kyle.
Yeah.
And you have got that, being in a dealership at such an early age, I mean, you remember that for the rest of your life. And, so the fact that you are working with dealers and have this relevant, deep roots in retail, I think is a big differentiator for you, because I see so many companies, Kyle, that, the dealer can sniff that out, in about 10 seconds. They know if someone's been retail or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we ask for pump in, pump out reports. There's all sorts of things that we're asking for that, we're part of their business, right? And so we want to make sure we know their demographic, who are their competitors, all these things. And so it all ties back to born in a dealership.
So let's talk about service. What do you feel are some of the opportunities right now that dealers should be taking a look at?
Yeah. So we've historically talked about why buy. And if you talk about the why buy, it's always been on the front end, right? So why purchase from here? What I've seen is we're not talking about, well, why service here? And so I think what happened with COVID and the inventory, COVID especially, it exposed a lot of dealers. And so they're looking at their processes and they said, oh, we can't get the inventory now. We have to shift to the back end. And so it is making sure that you are, and I've talked to a lot of dealers, and a lot of dealers have said, I don't want to drive traffic to my service lane because I can't service the vehicles because of X number of reasons. But now's the time to fix that. And so some of the things that, if we look at the market, and I think you can probably relate, is convenience, right? Have you ever had mobile service?
Up until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I wasn't even thinking about mobile service, but now that's a mainstay.
Yeah, mobile service, again, I had my car service with Preston Automotive Group, whatever, but, it's a hot item. And I think about the time that I saved, and it's all about convenience. People are willing to pay for convenience too. I got my car service and I didn't even have to leave. I was at work. They came, they picked my keys up, they did what they need to do, then they rolled out. And so I just think of the time savings. And I think what we need to realize as, especially for automotive, not everyone wants to go to a dealership to get serviced, right? And so you have to make sure you're capitalizing off of where the market's going and just I think it's all about being open-minded, right? Taking a step back and understanding what do customers truly want? You're still going to have the people that come in the office, but so I see that's a big piece. Online scheduling, when we didn't, I think other dealers can relate to this. Sometimes you'll submit online service and it goes into the abyss. So making sure that you have processes in place so that you don't lose leads. I think that's a number one opportunity for any front end, back end, is making sure that you're following up and you're following, I say the same thing to our employees, over communicate. And over communicating means that you're on it daily, making sure you're following up with the customer. Time, can't stress enough, the time matters. And, when you're marketing online and you say, we get you in and out, do you really do that? Mm-hmm. Right. And so making sure that your messages are relevant, because the last thing you want is a marketing message out there that says, we do get you in and out in 15 minutes, and then it ends up being an hour and a half. And so making sure that you're tracking and managing time, I can't stress that enough. Some other things, appreciation programs. We talk about dealer bodies, dealerships, and they're family oriented, they're community based. And I know historically you might have seen healthcare workers, free oil changes for healthcare workers, right? They're on the front lines doing all these different things. But get creative for how you can get people to get into the back end. One of the dealers that we actually service in Florida, they have Women's Wednesdays. So if you're a woman, you come in and get service, you get a discount on that. And it's about the experience. It's about making sure that, you have the customer service in mind and that loyalty factor in mind as well.
And I think convenience is something that has really been driven home these last couple of years with the season of COVID that we're in. I know Brian Benstock just prior to COVID told our conference, Kyle, up at Paragon Honda in Queens, New York. Brian said, they had done a study and they found that Amazon was up 1,900%. And the difference between searching for something on Google was that you have to go find the product and then go to the location to purchase it on Google. But on Amazon, they would bring the product to you. And it has been proven now that we will pay for that convenience, whether it's fast food from the restaurant or groceries. So that time and convenience, I think, is really important. What about staffing and training at the dealership, Kyle?
I can't stress this enough. I think COVID has changed. Actually, I know based on the conversations that I've had, COVID's changed people, right? It's changed the lifestyles that they want to live. And not only that, but just the, making sure you're checking in with your people is important daily, because in the end, happy employees equal productive employees. And so if we talk about the back end, I can't tell you how many conversations I had where I one-on-one had conversations with dealers, and they're, we talk about service campaigns, but yet they don't want to drive service because, one, I have I'm being blunt here, but I have a toxic employee that, just is, I don't know what to do with this employee, or I don't have enough techs that are certified, or I don't have techs in general. And so making sure that you as a dealer are, reaching out to local community colleges to get partnerships, making sure that you're reaching out to OEMs, and OEMs have certification, programs that you can, get people, vocational high schools, those partnerships will get you the people because the people are out there. And so the other thing is making sure that they're trained. One of the big things you need to understand is, as an employee, is why does this company exist? Who do I serve? And what are the core values that you need, from a customer service perspective that you need to live daily? At iFrog, we call them what matters. And so our core values are serve with purpose, right? So I don't know how many people start their days, but have an intention. I do yoga, which is, this is off topic, but it's setting an intention for your day. And it's really, am I doing everything that's pushing the needle? And so when we take that at iFrog and talk about our clients, it's the same thing. Act with urgency. Urgency, I don't, in the automotive space, I think of one word: speed, right? And we hear like speed to the lead, move that metal. And so every day matters. And when dealers are living in 30 days cycles, every day that the marketing, strategy, whatever it is, campaigns are not launched, that's missed opportunities. So, for iFrog, it's act with urgency.
Also, from iFrog's perspective, Kyle, you look at everything in terms of the customer lifetime journey. It's not just sales and it's not just service, but you put it all together in one.
Exactly. I think, the front end of what you always hear is the buyer journey. The buyer journey ends post-sale, right? And then it becomes the customer lifetime journey. And so making sure that you're promoting your service, your parts. There's a lot of people out there that don't know shops have, full service accessory departments, right? And those OEM parts, even though there's not tons of margin there, it's still an opportunity for you to keep the customer, right? And so, it's about that. I always view it as a circle, right? It's a holistic view, and it's making sure that you're retaining your customers. It's making sure that in that post, buyer journey, it's making sure that because you want them to come service with you, right? No doubt. And so we have to tailor our marketing strategies around how you get them through your service lanes. And then, and more importantly, when you're training your employees, teach them, hey, inventory's hot right now. Why not appraise a vehicle that's in your service lane, right? I got something in the mail the other day that said my home is worth X amount. I forget what the messaging said, but it was did you know your home is worth X amount? So think about the customer coming through the service lane and capitalizing off of that as well. Yeah.
I love it. I can relate to that as well. Kyle, if our audience wants to reach out to you at iFrog Marketing and find out how you can help them tie all of this together and help provide them with a lot of the great work that you do for other dealers and dealer groups around the nation, Kyle, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Best way is always my cell phone. It's at the bottom of this ticker. Secondarily, my email address.
Great. And they're both here at the bottom. By the way, the website is ifrog.com. Email is kyle@ifrog.com, and the 917 area code 902-4378. Best way to reach Kyle. Kyle, thank you so much on behalf of the fixed ops community for all that you do. And, we hope we're going to have you back to learn more because we're constantly evolving, right? And there's so many things happening in our industry. So Kyle at iFrog Marketing Solutions, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Ted, I'm honored. Thank you very much.
of hard work this season. But we all know this automotive game would benefit from a few extra assistants from time to time. And our next team has mastered an offensive strategy full of extra players eager to jump in the game at any moment. Please welcome the Brooke.ai panel.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And we've heard so much at previous events about voice technology. Google has been here, and we've discussed that with a number of retailers. We're really honored today to have the folks from Brooke with us here today, talking a little bit about how voice technology is transforming that customer service experience today, and also lowering operational costs. So I want to go ahead and welcome our panelists. They are Lawson, Owen, who is the CEO of Brooke, as well as Jason Beckett, the Chief Operating Officer, also of Brooke. I want to welcome Greg Stolrow, who is the Chief Financial Officer of McKenna Cars, and also Alex, the BDC Director at McKenna Cars. Welcome, everybody, to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks for having us, Ted.
Thank you, Ted.
Lawson, this is a conversation that's really, I think, long overdue because to get into depth on how voice technology is really transforming the industry and how it's transformed so many other industries where the retail automobile industry is really following right now.
Yeah, we deal with it every day in our life, our own personal life as well as our business life. And so what we tried to do here at Brooke.ai was to leverage a lot of the historical speech data that we had to really bring a unique offering to the automotive industry and service specifically. Interacting with a digital voice assistant, again, is commonplace, whether it be Siri, Alexa, or even Google. You had mentioned Google. The reality is that we move through the next year or two. By 2024, there's actually going to be 8.4 billion interactions or units that are out there in the marketplace by consumers and businesses that leverage a digital voice assistant. And we see it in commonplace with airlines and credit card companies and things of that nature. So we thought it was a great time to bring it to automotive. And certainly with the onset of the pandemic and COVID, we found a great place in the market for Brooke.ai.
Yeah, and it's really not just automotive. It's all sectors that are really diving into digital voice assistants. One interesting thing we've seen is purchase transactions over the years, how that's increasing, and consumers are becoming more interested in purchasing through voice technology. In 2020, $2 billion was sold through voice technology, where consumers actually purchase through a digital voice assistant. By 2025, it's supposed to be $164 billion. That's a 630% increase in just a few years. And why is that interesting? Because me giving someone my money or something my money is the highest form of trust. And so this is a great indicator that consumers are really becoming more interested and open to using this type of technology.
I think that's the big thing is the biggest challenge with different or new technology is the rate of adoption. And from a dealer's perspective, we know that the rate of adoption is there. From the consumer's perspective, we just have to help the dealer get comfortable leveraging that technology, which has all sorts of customer experience, CSI benefits, in addition to saving a lot of money.
Wow. When you mentioned the trust, that really hits home. And I would totally agree with you. As consumers, which we all are, we're all seeing and we're interacting now with digital assistants, whether we realize it or not. Jason, tell us a little bit more about that data again that you're seeing, because I really think that the audience needs to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we have a call monitoring tool called Caller CX that's been in the marketplace for many years. We use AI to track and record calls into the dealership. So we see a lot of data around what happens with those calls. 65% of ROs are from inbound calls. It's the largest lead source for fixed ops drive. And so what we see in addition to that, though, is 20 to 30% of those calls fail. They're lost, dropped, or abandoned. And with the great resignation right now, that's actually even higher. So the largest lead source for a service drive, they're losing about a third of those just from not answering the phones. The ones that do get answered, we're seeing a high hold time, anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes for many dealers. So that's really where a digital voice assistant can help, is to eliminate that problem where all calls are being answered, and they're being answered quickly and effectively with no hold time, to be providing a better customer experience.
I also think it's important to understand the negative or adverse effects it has on the dealer's brand, right? The dealership name, but also obviously the brand, whether it be Ford or Toyota, whatever it is they might be selling. So those struggles or challenges that the consumer has in connecting with an organization adversely affects the brand, the customer experience, your CSI scores, obviously your revenue potential. And so that's a real problem that exists in every dealership in North America.
Yeah, Lawson, you're so right. From a consumer's perspective, there's probably nothing more frustrating than trying to connect with a dealership, over the phone, and all the things, Jason, that you're mentioning now with the Great Resignation. These are a lot of challenges that dealers have. Greg, talk to us from the retail perspective. What are you seeing now? Going back even pre-pandemic to all the things that have happened in the last 24 months.
Well, we've already seen that things have come back in terms of fixed ops. We've got more folks on the drive. We have people that are, anxious to get their car serviced. I think that the business as a whole is, kind of at a place, it's in a turnaround mode more than in anything. Before, we had seen some months strong, some weaker, and now we're seeing some pretty steady volume. Our BDC department was down to 4 people at the beginning of the pandemic, and then through the pandemic, and we're up to an average of probably 6 people in there on a given month. And we're very, very busy, and we're doing a lot more campaigns now. We're finding that it's valuable to do those things because we've got the interest of the consumer. Probably our challenges really are actually nothing to do with anything we're talking about here today, but they directly do have some impact, which is loaner cars are very difficult to obtain. Every dealer has that problem. It's not just us. And so that's impacting service. And I'll let Alex describe that a little bit because she's front line with that. And then also just in general, finding technicians and having enough people to service the consumer. And we find that we've had challenges there too, but we're breaking through those. But Alex can talk to you a little bit more about some of the other pains that she's seen on the front lines.
And if I may, Alex, before I come to you, Greg, just to follow up, did you know you were missing calls in service in the BDC, pre-pandemic, going back a little ways?
Yes, we did. And we knew that because we use Proactive for our call center management system. And we knew we were missing somewhere in the neighborhood of like 14 to 20%. And most of those calls were on the front and back of the day. So it wasn't necessarily during the day, but most of them front and back, we were missing calls primarily.
Okay. Yeah. And I would agree with you. I think most dealers, in their heart of hearts, and general managers know that they're missing a volume of calls. Yeah. Alex, talk to us from your perspective. What's happening in the BDC?
As Greg mentioned, we had a smaller staff when I first joined the company. And so one of the first directives for me was to bring in a staff that could properly handle all of our calls and actually focus on making outbound attempts as well. As you mentioned, a high volume of the calls are inbound. And so a high volume of the ROs are inbound. That's given, right? And so the focus of a business development center should always be to develop business. And so with having something like Brooke, we're actually able to do outbound campaigns, increase the number of touches on clients that aren't reaching out to us. And we know that the calls that are coming into the store are handled no matter what, whether it be outside of the hours of the BDC operation or during the day when my staff is making outbound attempts to clients that just haven't thought about servicing their cars recently.
And Alex, talk to us about the people, because with all the things that we're hearing and seeing now with the Great Resignation, has this helped you, in terms of the staffing and the people and being able to address those inbound calls coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, staffing is really difficult in general. It's even more difficult right now. When you find good staff, then you run into issues of people calling out sick or having personal things going on. Nothing is perfect, right? As Greg mentioned, we have an average of 6, but on a given day, we might have 4 people here. We might have 6 people here. It's just kind of dependent on what's going on in everyone's life. And so being able to know that even if I have someone call out sick or if I have to let someone go, the calls that are coming in are still handled is really, really important. And it means that our store does not suffer because of, humans, which are unpredictable.
That's right. That's right. It's a people business.
Yeah.
Jason, talk to us a little bit for our audience. How does Brooke help with a lot of the challenges that we're hearing about, right now between Greg and Alex?
Yeah, so within the service drive, about 75% of the calls coming into a service drive are routine requests. So they're hours of operation, when can I bring my vehicle in, pricing, and that's really what a digital voice assistant helps to do, is take on those inbound calls, handle those routine requests, right? So 75% of those calls can be handled by a digital voice assistant, and that allows then the BDC, like Alex was mentioning, and then focus on the outbound revenue generating calls. It also helps them focus on specific campaigns so they're not getting distracted by the fragmented inbound calls that are coming in. Within the service drive, it also helps with the service advisors. Now they're not being distracted by the inbound calls, that they can actually focus on the customers in the drive and providing a great customer experience, whether that be walk around or just helping the customer.
Lawson, talk to us. And by the way, this makes a whole lot of sense for dealers watching. Lawson, how does this help in delivering a consistent experience for the consumer as well?
That's a great question. And I think everyone, we've touched on it a couple times here, and certainly Alex did too. The whole purpose or intent of a business development center is to develop business. And the reality is every outbound call is a retention call. Regrettably, though, those campaign calls, those outbound calls, those proactive calls are probably some of the most neglected calls within the service department or within the dealership. And so what we need to focus in on is not only the reactionary side, which Brooke obviously helps greatly, but also how do we free up our staff, especially if we have a limited staff or a green staff. I think what we've seen through the Great Resignation and certainly the pandemic is a lot of our talent has left, and we're starting over. So you have different employees at different maturation rates, different skill sets. So Brooke actually allows you to free up those people so they can focus on those retention calls, those campaign calls. If we don't retain or maintain the relationship with our service customers, they're not going to come back to us. There's a lot of options out there in the marketplace, whether it be other dealers or some of the independents from a service perspective. We have to focus on those retention calls.
I like it. Alex and then Greg, anything you like to add to that?
No, I think that was pretty well put. My staff, some of the people that I have are new to the auto industry, and I've been able to work with them on focusing only on outbound campaigns. So they answer, maybe a handful of inbound calls every day, but they're averaging, between 40 and 60 outbound attempts a day to clients that we have not reached out to. So, that's really important to us to grow our business.
Yeah, I would say. Greg?
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, Alex is right. What Brooke allows us to do is really to have more flexibility, whether it be the staffing issue, which we've had, or, for example, something she didn't mention, the other day we had the store where we have the BDC was being, the whole parking lot's being resurfaced. And she had to send everybody home at around 1 o'clock in the afternoon because it was just the fumes were too rough for them to continue to work. And I guess I don't know, Alex, you might be able to tell me. I didn't ask you yet because it only happened last week and we haven't met on this. But how many calls we actually were able to cover with Brooke for that afternoon? Because I'm sure we were fortunate to have Brooke that day.
She set 52 appointments.
Wow, I love it. And Greg, nothing more real world than that, right? Because that's the
No.
stuff that's happening every day in our lives.
It was crazy. I mean, it was the only thing we could do. And that 52 appointments would never have happened had we not had Brooke.
Right.
Now, Greg and Alex, I know a lot of our people in our audience work in dealership, and we even have a lot of BDC managers who are watching today. And I can imagine some of them, Greg, are thinking right now, okay, this makes sense, but is the intent of Brooke to replace the staff at the dealership? And that's got to be a question they're thinking, Greg, is, talk to us about that.
Yes. And in fact, we had a little pushback from the one veteran in our group. She's one of our best, and she was freaking out when we put Brooke in. And, we kind of held the line and said, look, this is what we're going to do. And really, our response for Brooke was to cover the bookends of the business, the before hours and after hours. And we expect that our team does their best job in the middle of the day. I believe that you probably could, given even our example of the other afternoon where we took 52 calls, appointments, I should say, we could replace somebody, but we're not intending to do that because we still want that touch. We want that high touch feeling. And I think that, we're going to have those people dedicated more to outbound than inbound. They get paid more for outbound than inbound. And so really, as it comes out, it's a win for everybody because the pressure of handling the inbound calls isn't as great. So when we've got 4 or 5 agents all making outbound calls, they can do that with some level of intention and not worry about the 4 or 5 calls that are ringing while they're in the background while they're actually taking the time to make some outbound calls. So no, we haven't had. I think everyone's calmed down now in that regard. And I guess Alex, you work with them every day, but I don't sense there's any issue with it. And they thought their job was being not as much loss as they were going to lose money. That was the bigger thing, I think, than losing their job.
Well, being able to adjust the pay plan to really focus on outbounds and to reward outbound attempts was one of the first things that Greg and I worked on when I joined the staff. Because with the introduction of Brooke, the focus was always to get those clients that weren't calling in. Replacing staff has never been our intent, simply because, Jason mentioned 25% of the calls that come in are not simple, right? Those calls need the human touch. Those calls end up transferred to a human because of additional concerns or questions. And so if there was no BDC staff and only Brooke, those people that were calling in with more complex issues would be completely frustrated. So it's a stopgap for the simple things so that our staff can focus on outbounds and campaigns and retention, but it's not a replacement in any way. And, calming our staff by, rewarding them for their efforts for the outbounds was really one of the first ways that we were able to kind of get everyone on board. Yeah. And now, when I had to send them home because our office was just filled with asphalt fumes, no one was stressed out that they were going to miss out on money, right? Because they knew that Brooke was there to answer the phones. And so the next day we all said, oh, can we guess how many calls she took? Can we guess how many appointments she set? And they're into it now. They're a fan of Brooke as much as the rest of the company is.
I'm becoming familiar now with this persona of Brooke because we're referring to her as she now. So, by the way, Alexandra, I love that story about the paving. Talk to me about, things like holidays and closures. I would imagine that Brooke helps you with calls about that as well.
Hilariously, Thanksgiving Day, we had something like 25 calls and 5 set appointments. And I was laughing because I was like, what car dealership has ever been open on Thanksgiving? I can't think of a single one. And here we are getting service calls with people actually setting appointments on Thanksgiving Day. And so, without Brooke, there would be those 5 appointments that were missed out on. And that sounds like a really small number, but that's 5 people who would be frustrated and probably never call us again if they hadn't been able to just quickly set their appointment when they wanted to. I love it.
A great point, Alex. Jason, this is really amazing. Okay. Some of the things that we're hearing here. For those of us who aren't familiar with exactly what a digital voice assistant can do for service, I'm learning some of the things right now, but tell us more.
Yeah, I think what we talked about earlier, like digital voice assistant is perfect for handling those routine requests, right? So we talked about 75% of calls coming in are routine FAQs. Overall, 62% what we're seeing are customers calling in to book an appointment, and that's where digital voice assist does really well. So digital voice assistant or Brooke is meant to answer, handle, and appoint your inbound service calls. What's great about a digital voice assistant is that it's your best service coordinator at scale. Whereas, a human can only handle one call at a time, a digital voice assistant can handle thousands of calls simultaneously. So as your dealership inbound calls fluctuate throughout the day, you don't have to worry about staffing, right? That overflow can just go to Brooke and you can keep your staffing pretty steady. You pair that with also integrating a digital voice assistant with your scheduling tool or DMS. Now you can provide a very consistent experience where the digital voice assistant is booking the appointments the way you want them to be booked, right? What vehicles do you want to service? What services do you want to offer? Thinking about transportation options, service advisor capacity, shop capacity. The digital voice assistant takes all that into account, and so they really become your best service coordinator because they're always following your policies. We actually have a clip to play for you. It's a real clip of a customer, just how they've set up Brooke to handle transportation options. So I'm hoping we can play that now for you.
I have options for transportation I can offer you while your vehicle is being serviced. Note that if you choose just to drop your vehicle off, I can get you in up to 3 days sooner. So, would you like to drop off your vehicle, wait for it, or hear the transportation options I have?
Wait for it.
So Greg, take us through that call and some of the areas with some of the challenges that you mentioned earlier as well.
Well, we mentioned before that we've had issues with folks not being able to get a loaner car. And so what we were having happen was folks would go through the Brooke process and then they would call back and they'd mine the system to get to a real person. And then they'd say, do you really not have a car for me? I don't understand this. I don't understand why you don't have a car for me. And so we started to have this, and what was happening is Brooke actually became more of a problem than a solution for a short period of time, because we were literally taking those calls twice. Once when they logged in, and then second time when they call back. And so what happened is we asked if Brooke could be set up so that we answered the issue and addressed the issue of the rental car or loaner car at the beginning of the call, so there was complete understanding, and that was set before they went all the way through the entire process. And it saved a tremendous amount of time doing that. And so I think that's just one of those things where everything needs tweaking a little bit. That would probably be the one single area that we've had a challenge with. I mean, we can't control the technicians or things like that. And, fortunately, we're linked with the DMS, so our appointments that are available through Brooke are only the appointments we can provide. So there's never really an overbooking going on. But the rental car thing was something they literally invest 2 or 3 minutes, 4 minutes in the process. And then they're like, shoot, man, I'll keep my appointment. I'm going to call back. And that just, we had to find a way to deal with that.
Okay. Jason, are customers really ready to schedule their service appointments using this type of technology?
Yeah, so there's two factors that we track, or 2 KPIs we track to really understand, the customer experience and whether customers are willing to work with this technology. The first is containment. So how well does a digital voice assistant do to contain the call within the digital voice assistant without having to transfer out? And we mentioned earlier that's about 75%. So 75% of the time, digital voice assistant or Brooke is able to handle that call from beginning to end. There's certain calls that do have to be transferred. They're either more complex conversations that need to be had with a service advisor, or they're, transfers to a different department, that kind of thing. The second is the appointment rate. So how often does Brooke or digital voice assistant actually, complete the task of, the main task of booking an appointment? And there we're seeing about 65% plus with our top performers. So, and that's all driven by the scheduling tool and how you're configured and how you want those appointments to be handled. So yeah, we're very happy with the results, and and the progress digital voice assistants are making in the market.
Jason, great points. And if I'm a dealer or a general manager or a fixed ops director or a service manager watching right now, Greg, let me come back to you. You've mentioned, and Alex has mentioned also some of the things, as you went through and, implementing Brooke at your locations, at your 9 rooftops. Anything else we need to know about, when you first introduced Brooke that we need to be aware of, in going forward?
I'm honestly, God, it was the easiest implementation we've ever had. When I think about CDK contracts and other things we've done in this place, we've implemented, intelligent accounts payable solutions, e-payment systems for cashiering. This thing was it was not even on the radar, to be honest. And I mean, literally, we did it almost immediately when Alex arrived. And I mean, I think it was the first thing she did, and she didn't even have a staff yet. It was amazing how easy it was, in my opinion. I mean, and again, along the way now, the tweaks haven't been that hard either, and learning how to use it. I mean, you don't need a lot of training to use this tool. And I think that's the hallmark of it. It's kind of a no-brainer. In fact, I can tell you that when I introduced this, at the time I was really heading up fixed ops for a while while we didn't have someone in that seat. And I had one of the service managers check it out, and then he brought his findings to the meeting, and literally there wasn't any pushback. In this place, there's always pushback. Not one person said no to using Brooke.
Wow, it's almost bulletproof from what I'm hearing. Alex, talk to me from the BDC manager perspective. You talked about things earlier, such as pay plans. How are the BDC managers going to be, receiving this when they think about the technology and, like you said, how some of their folks are and how they are compensated as well?
Well, first of all, it's funny. Greg mentioned it was the first thing I did. I think I started on a Monday. I think we set this up on a Wednesday of the same week. So I hadn't even had a demo on it, nothing. And it was incredibly easy to set up. Speaking of the Great Resignation and, the challenges that we've had during the pandemic, you can't have a 7-day-a-week BDC anymore. You can't have the boiler room, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week covering the phones. It's just not possible with what's going on in the world. And so, BDC directors should look at this as something that kind of takes some of the weight off of their shoulders in terms of handling calls at all hours of the day, helping customers at all hours of the day, and it lets them manage their staff. I can pull my staff off the phone and have meetings with them about what we need to accomplish. And no one is stressed out about answering a call if it comes in, right? Because Brooke is there to answer the phone. We can do growth training constantly, and it actually lets me work with my team and improve my team on a daily basis rather than letting things snowball because we're so worried about the immediate of answering the phone. So BDC directors should look at this as a tool to free them up to actually manage a staff instead of be so focused on, ticky-tack, like one call here, one call there. That's not the way to grow a department, and it's not a way to manage a staff. So we have to move forward and embrace this technology so that we can be better as managers.
So, Alex, let me come to you with my last question. Any other insights you can offer into how my dealership, if I'm watching this right now and I want to think about how am I going to prepare my people at the dealership level for a new digital voice assistant, any insight that you can provide to our audience there?
Yeah, Brooke is an assistant. Brooke is an extension of your department. She is another employee for the dealership who, to Jason's point, can answer many calls simultaneously. All dealerships have to do is be ready to embrace the technology and say yes. If you're ready, all you have to do is let Brooke know. They're super communicative and helpful, and you can look at this as an extension of your team. So, how they're ready to do it is just say yes, embrace the technology, move forward.
I love it. Lawson and Jason, great job. All right, so if I'm watching this right now and I want to take the next step and learn more about Brooke.ai, what do I need to do? How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'd say just visit the website, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to share with you how Brooke works, what the power and the potential and the opportunity savings would be for your organization. And I think the first thing we'd ask you to do is to just open up your mind, acknowledge the reality of the struggle or challenges of getting your service calls answered, acknowledge the reality of the staff struggles that we face in today's market, and then give Brooke a chance. Trust is hard for most dealers or organizations. So have Brooke handle after hours and overflow and see how she performs for you. The reality is we schedule almost 10,000 appointments a month just in after hours and overflow calls for stores. So just go to Brooke.ai and check it out.
And it's going to continue to grow, Lawson. I could see it right now, and it's happening all around us. So if I wait, my competitors may not be waiting as well. So great job, everybody. Both Greg and Alex from McKenna Cars. Thank you so much for being with us today on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And Lawson and Jason, thank you so much for all that you and Brooke and that she is doing for the industry. So really enjoyed hearing about this solution. And I want to invite you to come back and tell us more about it at the next roundtable.
That'd be
Thanks,
great.
Ted. Appreciate it.
All right. The panel from Brooke here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Most dealerships don't realize they're entitled to the money that's being left on the table. QB Business Solutions can help give your dealership a raise right now and keep it. How would a $100,000 to $400,000 increase affect your bottom line annually? These are real dollars and results that dealerships are achieving with QB Business Solutions. With no upfront fees, no processing fees, we get paid when you get paid. How is that possible, you ask? Many dealerships are unaware of their opportunity to receive full retail compensation for their parts and labor warranty reimbursement. Many dealers do not have the time, legal knowledge, and staff to receive the full benefits. State laws are vague, complex, and vary from state to state. It's laborious to prepare all the documentation required by every manufacturer to do this. But we have the answer. QB Business Solutions is your solution to receive your maximum allowed retail compensation. So how do we do it? Our account managers have a one-on-one consultative and personal approach that ensures accurate submissions and long-term sustainable profits for our clients. Our account managers work with your DMS provider. Proprietary reporting allows us to maximize your return. We ensure the best outcome while following state and factory guidelines. We uphold dealer and manufacturer relationships. Plus, we monitor your submission and provide you with factory notification timelines. Once manufacturer approved, you will see an immediate increase to your parts and labor gross profit year over year. We pride ourselves on 100% successful warranty submissions. With no upfront fees, no processing fees, we get paid when you get paid. Get the most out of your retail warranty reimbursement. Let QB do it for you. QB Business Solutions is where business knowledge and analytics meet.
Up next, we have a coach that's known for having his players' backs and ensuring they get more out of their practices than ever before. Breaking from his team's huddle now is Thomas Hall from QB Business Solutions.
Well, Well, we're about to discuss a subject that's very dear to my heart, and I think dear to the heart of most of the people watching today. Automotive News is reporting that the chip shortage in North America is not going to end anytime soon in 2022, and even more of a time for focus on fixed operations and making sure that we're maximizing all the dollars possible. I'd like to introduce everybody to Thomas Hall, who is the owner of QB Business Solutions and first-time speaker here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Thomas, welcome to the event.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Hey, really honored to have you and QB Business Solutions. I know you do a whole lot for the automotive industry, and I know one of the things that you do really and do it really well is some of the things that have to do with warranty and rate and filing for that. And if you don't mind, I've got a number of questions, and I think our audience will have some questions as well. But in particular, if I'm a fixed ops director and I'm looking at 2022, here we are, still early in March, and especially if I came in new to a store, how do I know if my dealership, Thomas, or if my store qualifies for a warranty reimbursement, especially in my state? Because I know the laws are different state to state as we go through.
It is. The first great answer is all 50 states qualify. So all 50 states qualify for labor, which is great. There are a few that have held off on the parts, really just two of them. Wyoming and Alaska are waiting on the parts. So I would tell you that 97, 98% of the country does qualify, and surprisingly enough, 15 to 20% of people only know about it. So we see this huge gap where, again, 80, 85% of the country qualifies, but either they don't know enough about it or just don't know how to get the right process going.
And if you don't mind, how often should I be looking at that? You know, if I'm a fixed ops director or even a general manager in a dealership who wants to be sure that they qualify, how often should I be, taking a peek at that?
Well, I think all fixed ops, service director, service manager, parts, you should be looking at your business 2 or 3 times a year, no matter what, right? You should be looking at your market survey, your parts matrix, your labor. Where are you at? By law, it does vary in each state, but for the majority states, you can file once per year. So as you're doing your analysis and your marketing and looking at, where you're at, you should be looking at, hey, listen, how close is my warranty rate to my door rate? How close are my parts markups to the local competitors down the road? Even the small, like the Advanced Auto Parts, those are competitors for parts departments that people just forget about because they're thinking about the dealerships only. So at least once a year, you want to look at it. Now, there are some great states that allow you to do it twice a year. So, but at a minimum, at least once a year. And then any adjustments that you do to your labor rate survey your labor throughout the year, you actually can go back and see, how much if you went up. If you went up $20, $30, you can go and see, okay, do I have more opportunity for me at that point? So it's not just one time and you're done. It can go on for years and years.
I know historically, going back in the car business, a lot of dealers say, well, you know what, my service manager, he can do this process himself. I'll just assign another task, right, Thomas,
right,
to that person and put another pile there. But typically, I know that's not practical. And you are the experts in this field at QB Business Solutions. How long does the process take? And who would be involved at the process at the dealership, at the store level?
Oh, that's a good question. There are definitely different processes. In general, it takes about 30 to 45 days to complete a pretty good size volume store. Maybe 45 to 60 days for a store that's a little bit smaller. Now, this dives into a lot of different things that we do. We're going to sample the store every single week. So we're looking at your business through this whole process. So it's very one-on-one. It's consultative. We're seeing how you operate, how we operate. We don't really dial into your system. We're actually giving you that fixed ops consultative as a freebie while we're doing our warranty reimbursement for you. So on average, it takes about, like I said, that 30 days, 45 days for a medium-sized store, 45 to 60 for a smaller store. Once we get that done and you're locked in, then it's up to the state. The state law determines about usually a 30-day time frame for the dealer to get paid. So all in all, to get from beginning to end, you're looking at 60 to 90 days from start to payment of the store.
Oh, wow. And I know there's been some general managers, Thomas, who said to me in the past, you know what? Well, I'm not sure if we filed anytime recently, but I don't want to get in trouble with my manufacturer, because I want to make sure that we're getting the supply of new vehicles, and I don't want to upset the apple cart, which think about it for a second, right? Could be a realistic thought in somebody's mind right now, or their parts supply. Does filing for the warranty increase affect, in the real world, my relationship with the manufacturer?
It really does not. Not only do majority state laws actually say there's no retaliation from a legal perspective, and there's nothing on, additional costs. Almost all states say that. But realistically, it's been around for about 10 years now that stores are doing it. Different states are, at different time frames have started this, but there really is no retaliation, any effect in relationship. Listen, because everybody worries about, okay, listen, I need goodwill help, right? I need some help operation. I need some things that really, are going to help me. And I need to build this great relationship with my, DPSM, and I don't want to hurt that. And I will tell you, that is probably the number one question that we get asked every single time was, will this hurt me? And the answer is no. Now, are some brands a little bit tighter? Absolutely. That I'd be, to say the least, that's not possible. So there are some brands that are a little more difficult, but for the majority of everybody, it's just a good conversation. They understand the practice. And just like everybody, things change every year, and we're looking to, move the store's rate up or the store's parts up, and they understand it pretty well.
And I know that you've got a different approach than other companies take to doing this. You've got a consultative approach. And that's opposed as to logging into the DMS system, like some of the, let's say, competitors out there. Walk us through it. How do you do it?
Okay. So again, up to today, we really are the only ones that do not log into your system. So we're not a software-based company. We're not pulling it in and just getting data. Here's for a few reasons. The data, when you do that, is in the past. It can't be affected. If you had something that wasn't operationally sound and you're going to take that data and submit it to the brand for money, it's not a great case. You might do well, you might not. It really depends on each store. Each store has their own struggles, their own opportunities, their own strengths. So what we do is we start from the beginning. We do a launch call with the stores. We get them set up to say, hey, here's what the next 30 days are going to look like. You're assigned an account manager. Each store has their own account manager, so you have actually a consultative talking point person who's a resident expert in the field. You're going to go through, and they do samples every week. They look at 25, 30, 35 ROs a week and say, hey, listen, here's some good things. Here's some opportunity. For example, how's your CCC notes? Everybody talks about complaint cause correction in the fixed ops world, especially around warranty compliance. How are you doing? Where are you at? Overall. Then we look at your discounting. We look at your accounting practices. Overall, we look at your entire fixed ops to see how you're doing. While we're doing this, we're working on your reimbursement. Every single week, we send this out to general managers, the dealer principal, the fixed ops people, everybody involved. So everybody is aware of what's going on in your building. And I will tell you, there's a lot of aha moments from GMs, from people that are like, wow, I've been so busy. I didn't even get a chance to look at that because of my task load. And, and it's just great to brought up. So we do this every week for probably, I said, 3 or 4 weeks until we see that, listen, you're operationally sound. You look great. The numbers look great. Everything that you've done is basically, we'll call it bulletproof, right? So the brand can look at it and say, wow, this store really understands, what it's about. And you got to think about this. The brands look at it and say, wow, this is a good store. They're operationally right. We have no problem giving the warranty increase to the stores that are doing the right things. And that's what changes for us. And we see some good, some bad, like I said. And overall, the stores love it because they're growing at the same time while we're doing reimbursement. And that's a free of charge. We don't charge for that. We just differentiate ourselves from our competitors that way.
I know if a dealership went at it alone, they really are alone because, here they are, trying to be compliant and do all these things. But you've got the experience and the recent portfolio, if you will, of what's happening with that manufacturer. So I would imagine that you and your team, the ins and outs of what to look for and what to stay away from. And again, to keep the dealership compliant and also make sure that you're doing the right thing for that with that manufacturer as well.
Yeah, it is a very complicated process. And we tell stores all the time, some go out and do a great job, but I will tell you that number is probably less than 5% if they do it internally. And here's some of the problem is the brands not only can give money, they can take money, as we know. So if it is not done correctly and in the right path, they can readjust you negatively for the store. So we caution everybody, not for our company to get more sales, but just be careful. We do a lot of training. We do different blogs to let people know, hey, here's some best practices. Here's some things to help you understand. If you don't, then great. We're a resource for you to look at it. And, each law in each state and every brand is so complex and different by state. So, brand X over here we'll call it where our home town is Florida, our home West Palm. So what's different in Florida is different in Georgia for two different brands and a single brand. So it is very complex if you don't know what you're doing, and it could hurt the store for sure.
And instead of this becoming another task for my service manager, you become an ally, and you actually become a colleague to them. And I would imagine that there's probably a lot of coaching moments that come out of this for the dealership's management based on the things that you find and you recommend.
Absolutely. And some are operationally, some are financial. We're not only our increase obviously help them in gross, but it actually might help them in discounting where they were doing things incorrectly. Didn't realize an advisor was over discounting, overriding. They didn't know that, there was no parameters put in place. There was, we even go to and say, listen, you talk about having an alignment machine. You went out and bought this $50,000 machine, but you're only doing 5 alignments a week. You're not paying for it. So we try to give every service possible to help them grow service-wise, financially, and operationally. And that's just one part of our company. We do have other parts of our company, but that's the main part that we focus on.
And I know for a lot of general managers, they know the right questions to ask at the end of the month for their sales managers and their finance managers. But I would imagine that you can help provide a lot of those right questions they should be asking in fixed operations as well, based on things that you find. Now, tell our audience, are there any upfront fees? And how and when does the dealer, and when are they responsible to pay you for doing this?
Okay. Great. And again, this is a huge differentiator for QB Business Solutions. We don't charge any upfront fees, no connection fees, no service fees. When you sign on with us, you're signing on a handshake and a contract. But basically the handshake, we actually won't charge a store until the approval from the brand. So again, think about this. We've worked 30, 60, 90 days for free. We haven't cost or risked the store anything. And then once your approval is in, at that point is when we'll send you the bill for our percentages of, that we talked about through our forecast. And that allows stores to feel comfortable. I mean, today there's a lot for sale, a lot of services, a lot of goods for sale. But for us, we take an approach and say, listen, we're going to on a handshake. We're going to show you what we can do and really go way above, our forecast and actually achieve more. And then only at the end is when we settle up. And I think that old school mentality helps us grow very fast, in the marketplace.
I think that goes a long way, with the dealer audience and with the fixed ops audience as well. Okay, so if I'm a dealer, I'm a general manager right now, realizing that I need to go ahead and start tackling this, or a service manager, or somebody who's in charge of that, looking at those warranty numbers. How do I get started with you? How do we reach out to you? How do we take the next step?
Perfect. Well, obviously, we visit our website. We're really proud of our website. It has a discount calculator for someone just to look at it really quickly, and they can figure out their own math and get an idea of their own numbers. So that's a great tool. That's at qbbusinesssolutions.com. You can reach out to me. My email address is thall@qbbusinesssolutions.com. Or obviously, I'm always on my phone, so you can reach out to me mobile or send me a text, 561-252-4434, and I'm always available.
And that information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen, I see. So that's your cell phone where we can reach out to you with questions and find out more and learn more about how it would pertain to my dealership or my dealer group.
Absolutely. It's directly right to me. I want to give you just a direct contact and give me a call and see what we can do for you.
Okay, everybody, you're hearing it from the top. Thomas Hall is the owner of QB Business Solutions. Thomas, I want to thank you very much on behalf of the fixed ops community. This is a topic that really needs to be discussed and discussed a whole lot more. So, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, thank you so much to you and to QB Business Solutions.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Next up, we have a team known for filling the arena wherever they go. They are sure to leave you with an award-winning experience, whether you're in the stands or viewing from the screen. As Fixed Ops Digital takes the lead, we welcome Brad Paschal.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and it is a great honor to have with us today Brad Paschal, who is the National Sales Director, congratulations, at Fixed Ops Digital. Brad, welcome back to the event.
Ted, thank you so much, man. I'm excited to be here. It's always a pleasure to be on the show, and excited to share some stuff this week.
Last time you were here, Brad, you ran away with the Best Practice Award. So congratulations on that. And I know this is a big time for Fixed Ops Digital because you've got a lot of big things happening right about now.
Yeah, right here around this time at NADA, you're going to see a lot of new products and stuff from us. So it's pretty exciting times.
Well, I know that what you've got to share with us today ties in perfectly with March Magic and our theme of the event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step off to the side, Brad, and the show is all yours.
Awesome, man. Well, you can't say March Magic or that week without talking about John Gooden. I mean, he's the most accomplished coach ever. So what I really want to look at is some of the principles that he used for his basketball team. So the first thing is success is a peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction, knowing that you made the effort to become the best you're capable of becoming. This is kind of the basis for everything that he does, from his pyramid to his offense, to everything that he encompasses within his offense. And as you can see down here in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm a Texas Tech Red Raider, so you can tell who I'm rooting for in the NCAA tournament. So I want to talk about some key fundamentals of his offense. So spacing, penetration, passing, flexibility, timing, equal scoring opportunity, strong side, weak side balance, rebounding, and at the end of the day, the scoreboard, right? So these are things that John wouldn't focus on in his offense. And so what I did is I actually kind of correlated those to what you would do in your fixed ops department. So spacing can be equated to how close your competitors are to your dealership. Penetration, how do you do digitally in your search market as your search market share? And then passing is customer experience from your website or from Google My Business to your website to your service scheduler. How effectively do they pass through that system? Flexibility, different services that you offer to service your customer. Timing is not really timing. It's actually perceived transparency or transparency in your service department. Equal scoring opportunity is the communication and coverage to set each other up for success. Strong side, weak side balance is extensive training and champions in each area of the store. Rebounding balance is basically backing each other up. So there was he had a triangle of how you were supposed to back each other up when a shot didn't make it and how you back each other up. So we're going to go through these. I think there's some interesting things and some interesting concepts to really go through. So let's take this for example. If you see Happy Hyundai right there in the middle, and then you have a customer over here where the little green is, right? If you don't have information on your website about the service that this customer is shopping, and if it's not on your Google My Business listing, you can't, what's going to serve up to this customer is whoever is closest, whether it's an independent repair facility, whether it's another dealership. If you don't have all the information that customer is looking for, it's just going to go off of proximity. Now, you can overcome that distance between your dealership and that customer if you have your Google My Business set up the right way and you have content, good quality content, not content that this is just designated on there by the OEM that's a duplicate on 3,000 sites, but good quality content. Then you can overcome that proximity to that customer to gain that market share. So knowing where your other dealerships are, and particularly, we don't lose as much business to them as we do the independent repair facilities. So knowing where they are and having a strategy to go after those is super, super important, because it's kind of like a death of 1,000 cuts whenever you're looking at search volume. It's not this dealership that takes it all down here at Family Hyundai. It's all these independent repair facilities take 1%, 2%, 1%. So that's what we have to focus on. We should be the most relevant source of information in the area about the services that we offer. So let's look at penetration and passing, because it's pretty similar. So whenever you're looking at a Google My Business listing, you want to make sure you have a listing for parts, service, body shop. I've even seen some of them have express, because there's 23 different categories for parts, service, and express that you can put in these Google My Business listings. Each one of these, you can actually have up to 10 categories. Now, you want to make sure that that profile section is completely filled out. You want to upload photos in every single section. And then you want to have posts on each service pages. Now, if you'll notice this little product section right here down at the bottom, normally you have to do that manually. There might be something coming out this week where it does it automatically. So you might want to come by and check us out at NADA, because we figured this out and nobody else in automotive has it right now. So little hint there to maybe come by the dealership to the booth at NADA this week. Now, when you look at the website, you have to have clear and transparent pricing. You have to list all of the main services, and the content pages are crucial, but they cannot be those duplicate ones that you get from the OEMs. So it has to be specific to your area, specific to your dealership, specific to what you do. Now, here's a really important part. We have to better the user experience by linking both, not just to the drop it on the service scheduler. So if you see here, it says appointments, and then it says product and services. It's okay to link to that service scheduler right there under appointments. It's not okay to have it in both places. Most of these Google My Business listings only go straight to the service center. That's like someone walking into a car dealership to buy a car, and me handing them finance papers right off the bat, because it's way too early in the process. They don't have enough information to make that decision yet. And so this is why we see only 28% of people who start a service scheduler finish it, because they don't have enough information, or it's really, really, really difficult to go through. So what we did at the dealership that I worked at is we had a dinner, and we invited 15 or 20 of our best customers, and we gave them different scenarios to run through the service scheduler so that we could identify bottlenecks and remove maybe op codes that don't belong there. And so then we're able to identify where the problems are, and we can remove those problems out of that service scheduler. So the more that you can get your customers input, because we're car people, we know how to run through those. We can kind of navigate through that thing. Most people can't. It's very difficult. And so that's why we see so many calls into the service department, is because that they're having trouble with these service schedulers. And so if you're able to have almost like a focus group, that will help you a ton with that user experience when you're going through that. So when we start to look at a couple of different things, right? So now we kind of figured out, hey, how do we get people through the website? How do we get people to the website? Well, what services should we offer? Well, forever people have said, hey, how should we sell a car? Well, anyway, they want us to sell a car, right? But we don't apply that same logic to the service side. So what ways should your customer be allowed to service your car? Well, any way that they want. Early bird drop off, late night pickup, mobile service trucks. I know Ed does a great job at making sure that he does the mobile service trucks. So if you want to follow him, we actually have a thing on our website that's completely free called Tactical Tip Tuesdays. He breaks it down on what to do on that. Customer pickup and delivery. And then one thing that I had a conversation with a guy this week that has nothing to do with the car business, but he said, man, I would pay $50 a month if I could just have a VIP subscription service where I don't even have to worry about it. They come pick my car up, they get everything done. I don't have to do anything about that at all. So listen to your customers and ask them which way that they want to be serviced. That's a really, really important thing to do, because every market's going to be a little bit different, right? So now timing is an interesting thing. So, and I'm going to show you what we're up against, right? So if you see this picture in the middle, no one gets really mad at a Jiffy Lube or Speedy or anything like that, because they have this window where they can watch their car get worked on. We don't have this window in 99% of dealerships where they can watch their car get worked on. So it's most of the problems are stemming from how long it takes to repair, because there's a lack of transparency. It's not that they're upset about the time, it's that they don't know what's going on, and that they don't have insight into that. So the way to eliminate that on a timing aspect is videos by technicians showing that the repairs that are needed. Technicians actually coming out to help explain inspection reports if they decline the services, which is super important because it humanizes that technician that's working on that car. And then this is something that John Luciano does that's really interesting. So when they're doing those videos, or when you're introducing to the sales or the service department, whenever you're selling a car, they introduce them as your technician or your advisor. And so it personalizes that experience. And then I had a conversation with Mike Hanna over at TrueSpot this week. These guys are rolling out this week at NADA basically a Domino's pizza tracker for service, which is fantastic. And so part of my job as a fixed ops guy is to bring you something cool that no one else has. And so this guy at TrueSpot, they have a pizza tracker that kind of shows you how it's moving through the service department. And so I think that's really neat. And I think that would actually alleviate a lot of problems and help with customer service on that side of things. So equal scoring opportunity. So this is basically how you spread communication throughout the departments. So I want to talk about a couple things that are really interesting. So there's an app called Telegram where you can create different groups. So you can have service, all your service people, all your managers, all your salespeople, all your technicians. And so you have a communication group. So if someone has an emergency, they can put the information in there. And so the other person can back them up. One other thing that I've seen that's really interesting is if there's a declined services thing or someone's not going over that, they actually pull the sales guys over that has a better relationship sometimes with the individual customer that they sold the car to help sit in on the inspection as they're going over it. So if they feel like they don't have a really good report, that's something that I've seen that works really well. Of course, extensive note taking in the service scheduler is a must. And then one thing that John Luciano gave me this week is the finance managers, because car sales are slowing down, the finance managers are working the service drive to sell warranties out of the service drive. And so that's a huge one right now that he showed me that I think is going to work pretty well. So here's something else: strong side, weak side balance. So extensive training. These are the type of trainings that we did in the store that I came from that really helped. So we had internal champions or experts that lead training once a week in the department. So that way it's more like a regional training specific to your. So you have one guy that might be really good at working on used cars and he trains all of the technicians. You might have one service advisor that's really good at getting upsells and he trains all of the service advisors. And you might have another service advisor that's really good at customer service or customer satisfaction surveys. And so by making them champion and cross-train like that, you can always pick something up. The second one is really, really important. Every parts guy and every service advisor in the dealership I came from were trained on to do each other's jobs. And so it does two things. It eliminates that friction between the two departments because parts hate service, service hates parts. I mean, let's just be honest. That's what happens in a dealership. So if you cross-train them, it really helps with that friction, but it also helped during COVID a ton because you might have this guy out, this guy could jump in here, this guy could jump in here. So cross-training between departments is super, super, super critical, especially if we're dealing something like this with the pandemic. And then external training. So once a month, it could be a trainer. The warranty company would come in. They would train all of the sales guys, all of the finance people, and all of the service advisors at the same time. So everybody in the store can answer that question, whether it might be BG or other companies. And then learning management, Quantum 5 is on top of their game when it comes to that. And so by doing that, every department's backing everybody up. This only comes when your team knows each other. So you have to have events like ice cream socials. You have to pull your people and find out what charities are involved in so you each help with everybody's charity. And that's how you get that rebounding balance, so you're always backing each other up. And at the end of the day, you want to have a good company that has a scoreboard for you that'll help you get that stuff taken care of. So these are some of the reports that we set up for our dealers. We have X time reports so we can actually have scoreboards. In a 12-year span, John Wooden, UCLA, won 10 national titles. The most important thing was being able to have that culture and that environment to where you could breed champions. And these are some foundational stuff to do that.
I love it, Brad. So strong. And, of all the folks that you mentioned and companies and processes, Fixed Ops Digital, really, you guys have it together and you are on top of the game. And there's no one doing what you're doing as well as you're doing. If our audience has not spoken to you or Owen or Kevin yet, Brad, how do we reach out to you?
So you can reach out to me at brad@fixopsdigital.com, or you can go to our website, fixopsdigital.com, or you can shoot me a text, 806-548-2468.
Brad, great stuff as always. I love the basketball analogies. Wooden is a big favorite of mine and many of us here at the Roundtable. So great stuff, great material. And Brad Paschal, everybody from Fixed Ops Digital, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Signs. They tell you the road, places you're going, the promise that awaits. No matter where you go, when you see this sign, it means I take my car here and it runs better and lasts longer, guaranteed. It's a bold statement, but it's one that BG has proven over and over for more than 50 years. It all started when the founders of BG Products in Wichita, Kansas were looking for a breakthrough. They developed the first BG formula. Skeptics said it wouldn't work. Anyone who tried it knew that it did. Pour it in, and engine performance and life improved, just like that. But BG wasn't about to be contained to a can. What started in the engine spread to every working part of every kind of vehicle and to every part of the world. Because all BG products and services have one ingredient in common: innovation. Through cutting-edge research and development, state-of-the-art resources, and an unwavering commitment to quality, BG leads the way with proven solutions of real-world drivability problems. That's why, worldwide, professionals use BG products, services, tools, and equipment every day. And why every year professionals from around the world attend BG University, the most advanced client success program in the industry. And why everything BG does is proven to deliver customer satisfaction and retention. Today, customers don't just look for a shop, they look for a BG shop. What can take a product from the heart of America into the hearts and minds of car owners all over the world? This sign and what it means. Now, ask what BG means to you. Because BG works worldwide.
You can hear the crowd cheering as this key player makes his way onto the court. He is known for his Hall of Fame mentality and breaking records for being the quickest player in the game. Give it up for Bob Tasca.
Bob Tasca is the Vice President of the Tasca Automotive Group and the CEO of Tasca Racing. He is one of the most respected and recognized names in all of automotive. And that name started out nearly 80 years ago with the Tasca family and Bob Tasca Sr., who coined the phrase, "You will be satisfied." Today, the organization operates dealerships in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Florida, and Illinois. Bob Tasca, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
It's great to be back, Ted. Nice to see you.
Bob, we had so many accolades on your appearance last year here on the show, and you know, you've had an amazing year. I see you everywhere, not just in the dealership world, but in the racing world, and it's hard to miss Bob Tasca these days in the news.
Well, hey, Ted, thank you very much. We had a great year in racing last year. We had a great year in the dealership business last year. So, 2021's over, on to 2022, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of challenges this year we'll have to figure out and overcome.
I see that BG decal on your car. So, and I couldn't miss on social media. I loved about a week or two ago, I saw the trucks pulling out and on the move. And, you've really, created a huge name just there in the racing industry.
Yeah, no, we're season's off and running. We just came back from Pomona and Phoenix. Not quite the start of the year that we wanted. We went out in the second round at both of those races, but it's a long season, 22 races. We got a lot of racing in front of us. Thrilled to have BG as a sponsor on our race car, but more importantly, they're a partner with us in our business back at the dealership, and it's great to bring them onto the race program this year with some dedicated BG races coming up. So a lot going on the racing side.
Well, I want to talk to you about that a little bit, Bob, if I may. For our audience, and we've got dealers and general managers and fixed ops and parts and service managers watching, tell us a little bit about the mental state that's required to race and to drive in that nitro funny car. Tell us a little bit about that.
I think racing for me it's the ultimate accountability machine. And, I've taken a lot of that back into our business. To be successful in racing, there is no detail too small. Whatever mistake is made, the race car is going to find it. In my sport, 3 seconds or less. And at the end of the weekend, my performance review is done by 2 million people that have either watched me in person or on television. So the accountability of going out and performing and winning is at the highest level. So what I've always tried to do is look at what we've done on the racetrack and bring it back to the dealership. And a lot of people, when you look at, their everyday work life, how do you define success, right? So whether it's a service advisor, a technician, what is the true definition of success? On racing, it's real simple. The scoreboard has no friends. At the end of the weekend, we know exactly who did good, who didn't do good, and who needs to improve. And the level of competition in racing, you look right across the way and you see your competitor. That is motivating in and of itself, right? You know who you're about to beat or who's about to beat you. Well, again, you go back into business and, I love it when a salesperson will say, well, we lost that dealership to ABC dealer. And it's like, no, you didn't lose that customer to ABC dealer. You lost that customer to the other, man or woman that did a better job than you, right? And earned that business away from you. So a lot of the things that we have done in racing to be successful, we brought back into our dealership. We clearly define winning and losing, whether you're an advisor, a technician, a department manager. We rank the data weekly. So we share the information to our team, based on who's the top performer in our company and who are the bottom performers in our company. And we share that on a weekly basis. So we create a very competitive environment in our company across, all of our rooftops to compete for that win each and every month. No different than what I have to do each and every weekend out on that racetrack. So racing has played a big role, in how we run our company.
Bob, coming back to that mental state, if I may, I've always wondered this. What are you processing in your brain? What are you thinking? Because it's so quick in those 3 seconds as you head down the track. What's going through Bob Tasca's brain at that moment?
Well, that's a great question. I tell people in that moment when you're staging the car right before you hit the throttle, for me, I'm not thinking about, living, dying. The only thing you're thinking about is winning. And that's the mental state to be successful. The only thing you're thinking about, not whether it's going to blow up, whether it's going to make it or smoke the tires. The only thing you're thinking about is winning. And that's a mindset that is burned into you in racing, because it's the only reason why you're there, right? We're not there to get a sunburn. We're there to win. And that's what the sponsors, invest in us to do. And that mentality is the same mentality I have back at the dealership is what do we have to do to win? What do we have to do to put our team in a position to win? And that's what I'm thinking about, Ted, is winning.
Your family had a phrase, I believe you still use it today. Is it win on Sunday,
sell on Monday?
Sell on Monday.
Yeah, no, and it's alive and well. You know, when my grandfather did it, he raced cars that you literally could go to the showroom and buy. As the sport evolved and the cars got faster, you can't buy the nitro funny car that I drive in a Ford showroom. But I look at it, it has evolved into what I call emotional marketing, right? So you can go and buy a billboard, you can go and buy a TV ad, or you can invest in motorsports. And in motorsports, the winning and losing aspect of it really creates a bond with the fan base. And there's millions and millions of fans out there that connect with race teams, you know, each and every weekend, whether it's a NASCAR or NHRA where I compete. And they love you when you win. They're there to support you when you lose. And that type of emotional marketing, you know, carries into the showroom on Monday. And people want to relate with winners. They want to relate with brands that are successful. And I can tell you, we sell an awful lot of Fords all around the country at NHRA Racing.
You know, speaking of winning, I see behind you over your right shoulder there, I see some of the awards and trophies. And you know what? I think there's a few more than I saw last time that you were together on the show.
Yeah, last year we had a great year. Went to 5 final rounds, won 3 races. We finished number 3 in the world. We were literally about a race and a half out of the championship. It was a great year for us. What you see behind me, we call them Wallies. They're a trophy that you win in drag racing, and they're coveted because it is so competitive. We're winning and losing races by thousandths of a second at over 335 miles per hour. You know, I laugh when you watch the Olympics recently, and, you know, people are saying, oh my God, they won by 0.125 of a second. You know, 0.125 of a second, I won't even see the guy in front of me if I lost by that much. You know, we measure our margin of victory, you know, in thousandths of a second at over 300 miles an hour. So it's pretty competitive. And when you get to win one of those, it's pretty special.
Bob, a big topic this year at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, much more than in the past, Bob, has been electrification and, you know, what's coming for the industry. Can we talk a little bit about that? Electrification, maybe first in racing and then, you know, over in the retail automotive world.
Yeah, so I know an awful lot about electrification. First, I hold the fastest all electric run ever made in a quarter mile in a production vehicle. In that electric Cobra Jet, ran 8.2 seconds at over 170 miles an hour.
Wow.
And I also sit on a lot of product committees with Ford Motor Company. So I know a lot about EVs. I drive one every day. And I will say this very humbly, Ted, there's probably not many people that you know that have more gasoline running through their veins than me.
That's right.
But driving an electric vehicle every day, and I can tell you this, I would never drive a gas-powered vehicle again as my everyday vehicle. That's how much better an EV is. There's nothing, and I emphasize nothing, other than range, which is rapidly being addressed with better batteries, you know, extended range, better charging capabilities. There's nothing a gas-powered vehicle does better than an electric vehicle. There's nothing. Now, on the truck side, commercial side, that's a different conversation. You know, when you're Super Duties, pulling heavy loads, you know, the ICE engine is here to stay for a long time in that respect. But as an everyday commuter, fun to drive, efficiency of packaging, what we can do with design, because we're not constrained on where a transmission has to go or where an engine has to mount and how high the engine has to be. When you start to really peel the onion back, there's nothing a gas engine does better than an electric vehicle. So I'm a huge proponent of it. It's coming. It's coming rapidly. The technology of batteries is rapidly being developed. And for me, it's exciting to be with Ford Motor Company because I truly believe as a full line OE, you know, Tesla to me is more of a niche brand, but as a full line OE, I don't think there's an OE out there better positioning themselves for the EV run than Ford Motor Company. So You see the Mach-E and how successful that's been. That's what I drive. My wife has driven the Mach-E GT. It's an incredible product, right? And the consumers are realizing just how good these EVs are, with maintenance costs. And the most liberating thing, Ted, for me, honestly, is I don't have to go to a gas station anymore. It's probably one of the most filthiest places you go, right? A gas station, and you get to drive by them and, get in a vehicle every morning with a full topped off battery. It's exciting times. But I will say, though, Ted, it's also, I would say, some people look at it as scary times. What's it going to do to fixed ops? Are we going to lose fixed operations? For me, I believe the smart guys and gals out there, we're going to figure it out. We're going to have to reinvent ourselves in many, many aspects because it is happening. The good news is it's not going to happen tomorrow morning. You're not going to wake up and 60% of the vehicles on the road are going to be EVs and your service department's out of business. That's not going to happen. It's going to be, more of an evolutionary change. But to pretend that everything's going to be the same, well, I think you got your head in the sand if that's what you think. But I'm excited about it. I like, this type of disruption in the market. I think it creates opportunity. And I can tell you one thing, the Tasca Automotive Group will be prepared to take advantage of it as it happens.
It's I hear you speak about how you're involved with Ford, and Ford is reaching out to you for your input and your involvement. And I think back, several decades, how Ford reached out to Bob Sr., and Bob Sr. was very much involved in the quality and on the assembly line and, in all the little details that you spoke about just a little bit earlier. Bob, you stand on the shoulders of giants, with the Tasca family. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I think you've blazed your own trail, yet I think you may have taken the Tasca name, bigger than we've ever seen it before.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm still working on that, Ted. But I can tell you, I've been very blessed to have been around so many successful people, and I get an opportunity to speak to about 30,000 high schoolers a year. It's a program that Ford Motor Company sponsors with NHRA called YES, Youth Education Services. And I talk to these high schoolers on Friday mornings before the race all around the country. And one of the key things I leave them with, which my grandfather has left me with, he said one of his secrets to success was to ask the right people the right questions and remember the answers. And I tell these young kids, I said, you have to be responsible with your life. And most importantly, with your time. And I say, you get to wake up each and every day and you get a choice. You can hang out with the winners or you can hang out with the losers, right? It's your choice. And for me, I've been blessed to hang out with so many winners. And I figured out early on that if I could figure out what they did to be successful and ask the right questions and remember the answers, it would help accelerate, my success in my career. And that's really what my grandfather did throughout his life. He had the same fortunes to be around Henry Ford and Lee Iacocca and some real icons, Eustace Wolfington from Half a Car. And, he was blessed with that. And, and I was able to, kind of follow in his coattails. And, he passed away in 2010. And, I've been able to carry it on. But I'm very humbled to be around so many incredible people that have helped me and continue to help me, each and every day.
You're held in great respect throughout the automotive industry, Bob. Looking ahead this year to 2022, and again, for our audience, the dealers and GMs and the fixed ops personnel watching, what advice would you have in looking forward? Here we are in March. We've still got a big year ahead of us. We've seen so much change in the last 6 months, last year, last 2 years. Nobody could ever have imagined it. So much has accelerated. Talk to us a little bit about what to expect moving forward.
Well, I can just share some things that we're doing. One, we're hyper focused on fixed operations. That is, the backbone of our business. It's going to continue to be. And it's probably right now the one area we have the most control over, right? Growing fixed ops, recruiting technicians, developing techs. That's a critical piece of our business. On the new car side, man, you wake up every day and you don't know what you're going to expect. I thought things would be better, to be honest with you, today than they actually are. If you would have asked me in December, November, December, I said, yeah, once we started to get into the spring, early summer, inventory is going to break. Well, I don't see that happening. I think it's another year before we see the availability come back to some new normal on the new car side. On the used car side, it's crazy, right? The prices have never been higher, but you still need to sell used cars. We have a big initiative in our company to buy as many cars off the street as we can, leveraging different applications in our market to really go after the Carvaners and the Vroom and, how they're buying. Really, kind of an epiphany to me was just to learn how many cars CarMax and Carvana actually buy off the street. It's a big number, right? So why can't we do it? We can do it. So we've put a lot of energy behind that with a variety of different applications and, campaigns, and we've been very successful. We're approaching about 150 cars a month purchased off the street. We like to, in our group, our goal is over 200. So those are some of the things that, we're looking at. And then we're aggressive acquiring new stores. We look at deals, almost on a daily basis, because I think this is a good time where, some dealers have said, okay, I've had enough. Electrification's coming. COVID hit. I want to get out. So we've been very bullish on trying to make new acquisitions as well. So a lot going on, but I like it like that, Ted. I live in the fast lane, and I'm on the road a lot, and I don't see anything changing. We're just going to keep going.
And finally, Bob, you've got a partner there at Tasca in BG Products. Talk to us a little bit about that partnership, because I think that's really also a very important part of the success of both the brands.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have vendors and you have partners, right? So BG is a partner to us. And the reason is we just don't buy product from them. They're in our stores. They're working with our advisors. We use their menu systems. They provide a tremendous warranty on all of the components that their liquids touch. So when you can have that type of a partner, it's truly a win-win for the customer, for BG, and for the dealership. So I highly recommend the product, and I would welcome anyone listening that wants to shoot me a note or has a question of how we leverage BG in our company to feel free to do that.
And I know they're a big partner, not just on the dealership side, but I see Bob on the racing side as well.
Yeah, we're going to do some fun things with BG this year. So in Las Vegas 1 coming up in April, Topeka, which is in the summer, and Charlotte 1, it's going to be an all BG car. So it's the first time we've done something like that with them, and looking forward to that.
Bob Tasca, I wish you an amazing year ahead. Lots of success both on the racing and on the dealership side. And on behalf of the Fixed Ops community, Bob, thank you for so much that you do for our industry.
Oh, it's always great to be on with you, Ted, anytime.
Bob Tasca here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Performing an induction service can be time-consuming, but with the new BG Revit, time can be used more productively. Watch this technician perform an induction service 2 ways, with and without the BG Revit. Revving the engine is required for all induction services. Revving the engine is what propels the product across all cylinders. Without frequent, consistent engine revving, there's a risk of hydrolocking. The new BG Revit revs the engine automatically, so techs are free to perform other services while they're waiting. The BG Revit ensures cleaning ability, reduces the risk of error, and improves shop productivity. The BG Revit takes the labor out of labor rate.
This is our scanning system, which consists of a touchscreen computer and a 60-page per minute duplex scanner. I am going to show you how to scan a typical repair order. Bring up our dealer scanning application. click on Repair Orders. Place the repair order in the scanner and click on the Scan Repair Order. This will start the scanning process, which will scan all pages front and back and automatically read the repair order number. After scanning is complete, the repair order number will be shown on the screen. For this example, the repair order number is 995957. You can now confirm that the repair order number matches the number on the screen. Then click OK, which converts the scanned pages into a PDF document and saves them into the system. To view the scanned pages, simply click on the View button, which will bring up the repair order where you can easily view and navigate all the scanned pages. You also have the ability to scan small items like battery test printouts or service coupons. Simply load the small items into the scanner and click the Scan Other Items button, and they will be scanned and added to the existing repair order. You can view the scanned items by clicking the View button where you can see the items at the bottom of the PDF document. It is simple. Now, I am going to show you how service advisors, accounting, warranty administrators, parts department, and technicians can easily retrieve the scanned repair orders. Each person will have the repair order viewer on their computer, which allows them to look up repair orders by repair order number, VIN number, or customer name. For this example, we will use the repair order we just scanned, which is 995957. Click Search. The scanned record will be shown, and by clicking on the scanned date, you can see the contents of the scanned repair order. Here, users can print or download or email the repair order document. It is simple. How much does this cost? You don't need to contact us or email us for a quote. We'll give it to you right now. $500 installation fee. $500 monthly service fee per unit. Unlimited scanning. No long-term contract, just month to month. Dealer scanning. Organize your dealership documents, saving time, space, and money.
Welcome back to March Magic, where our goal is to make a large impact to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to put an end to blood cancers. Take a moment now, if you haven't already, to scan our donation QR code and share it with your peers. We greatly appreciate everyone's support of such a wonderful cause. The next speaker is one for the books, being inducted into the Fixed Ops Roundtable Hall of Fame as he was one of our founding members. And I can assure that you will be scanning his stats after you see what he's bringing to the Fixed Ops Court today. Please welcome Cesar Augustus of Dealer Scanning.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and with us now is one of the founding fathers of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, going all the way back to the very beginning. Please welcome Cesar Augustus, the CEO of Dealer Scanning, to the event. Cesar, welcome.
Thank you, Ted. Great to be here. Just excited that after a couple of years, this thing has blown up, and just amazing. We started at a conference room in New York, and look at this.
Hey, I think we've all come a long way, and I need to congratulate you and Dealer Scanning on all the success you're having and the success you're having for dealers as well all over North America. So, Cesar, great job in really taking us to the next era here in automotive retail dealerships.
No, thanks, Ted, and thanks for your support all along. And yeah, we're just excited to be working with hundreds of dealers around the country. They're becoming raving fans, and they love our product, and we have a pretty solid, extremely solid solution, and it's a great thing.
You know, I gotta show you. I got a couple pictures to show you because, you know, typically we talk about things, as you know, at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, we talk about pain points for dealership and things that really hurt and things that can be improved. And I got a couple pictures to show you that I wanted to share with you because I think it really drives home the pain point, if I can. And this is a dealership that we visited recently, and I think everybody on today can recognize what this is here.
Yeah, this is exactly what happens when you run out of file room space. And Ted, can you imagine trying to find RO number 55,342? it's going to be pretty impossible to find it in this setting.
And Cesar, there's more. There's check out this one here. This looks like it's out in the shop.
It is. You'd be amazed because you do run out of space, right? You have thousands of ROs. People get creative, and it's not secure. It's not the most efficient way of storing data or documents, and obviously it's not compliant.
And Cesar, I could not believe this one right here. Look, this looks like it's outside.
It is. This is unfortunately, they were storing these ROs in the back parking lot. And obviously, this is as bad as it gets. You would think that in the year 2022, this is not happening. But yeah, we are all in the car business, so we know that we can be surprised.
And Cesar, it's obviously not compliant. I was going to ask you, how does dealer scanning add value to dealerships? But I think the pictures tell a million words right there. What do you think?
Oh yeah, so exactly. So the way we add value to dealers is obviously it's commonsensical. We have this scanning station right behind me. We provide that small enough that it can fit in your receptionist's desk, cashier's desk. They used to scan it, repair orders very easily. They load up the repair order, click a button, scans, read the barcode, read the repair order number, so they don't have to type any information in. Sends it, creates a PDF, saves it securely in the cloud. We integrate with all the major DMSs. Makes it super easy. Then all your dealership personnel can just type an RO number or last 6 of the VIN or a customer name, and there's all the information. You don't have to go search in the back, the file room, or go down to the parking lot and get a repair order or in any other files that we just saw in this picture. So that alone saves hundreds, not thousands of dollars a month for dealerships.
And Cesar, you've really grown this thing. So congratulations with dealer scanning. A lot of dealerships rely on the DMS, to provide the scanning, but you really make it a solution that not only works for the retail dealership, but it's affordable as well. Tell us about that.
Exactly. So our pricing is the best in the industry. So it's $500 a month, unlimited scanning. So we don't charge you for each page like many of the other competitors do. And the data is always yours. We don't hold your data for ransom. It's a month-to-month agreement, which puts us in basically always making sure that we're providing the best service. We don't have to buy any equipment. If this thing breaks down, if this scanning station breaks down, or the scanner or the touchscreen, we basically replace it, no cost, no hidden fees. It is the lifetime warranty on the equipment. Stuff works, so it's a good deal for the dealers.
Now, I could not believe this, but I was up in Albany, New York, on a winter day at our good friend Tom Rustino's dealership up to Paula Chevrolet Ford, big juggernaut of a dealership. Yeah. I'm in there doing a service install, and who do I see in there? The same week I'm in there, but I see Cesar Augustus from Dealer Scanning, and I took my iPhone and I took a picture because you personally were in there doing the install. And can I show that to the audience?
Oh man, of course you can. It's the old school days, right? Yeah.
Now watch how easy this is, everybody. Take a.
What's up? I'm here at the Paula Chevrolet. We're just installing the new scanning unit. I'm showing the ladies how to scan a repair order. It's so simple. You basically take your typical repair order, put it on the scanner, bring up the scanning application, click on the scan repair order. It's gonna scan the front and back. If there's any pages that are stuck together, it'll tell you that they're stuck together, or if there are any multi-feeds, it'll tell you. Very nice. So right now, all you have to do is put in the repair order number, 731-864.
Okay. So now it's in there.
Yep.
So now how
click
do we...
OK, you click view. You can review the contents of the repair order very
right
easily.
There.
It's right there.
Excellent.
And you have these small battery test receipts. Just put them on the side and click scan other items. It just adds it to the repair.
And that won't get stuck in there.
It won't get stuck. But if it does, it'll tell you, and it's very easy. We'll test one out, but you can view it. And what I'm going to do later on is I'm going to add a viewer to your machines so that everyone can look it up by repair order number, big number, customer name.
That'll be great.
That's it.
Okay.
It is that simple. I'm done, man. I can go back to West Palm Beach now.
It doesn't get any more real than that. The CEO of the company installing it. Tell us about the Paula. Have they had success?
Yeah, and this obviously that was day one, scanning station one, and the system wasn't set up yet. The barcode was not on the repair order, so that's why we had to type it in. But yeah, they've been a great client of us. I think now they're doing all their dealers and more than 5 scanning stations to do all their repair orders. So yeah, they're having a really good time with it, and it's helped a lot. They have a lot of volume, so our scanning helps them tremendously.
You work with a lot of dealers that do all kinds of volume, and like you just mentioned, high volume. And you know what? I think the proof is in the pudding because dealers are sold on it. And like you just said at the Paula, they keep adding. They get more scanners, and they give you more of their business. Cesar, how does dealer scanning help with things like warranty audits?
Yeah, that is probably one of the biggest benefits of our scanning system. Is that imagine getting a warranty audit and you have one of those file rooms where the pictures you showed. It's a nightmare. Even if you have a well-kept file room, if your manufacturer comes and asks you for 100 repair orders, that task alone, and you know I'm not lying, Ted, can take you a week or 2 weeks, depending on how well the ROs have been stored and if someone did not forget to put one back in where it was supposed to. So with warranty audits, as they keep increasing lately in the auto industry, our dealers they love our system because when the warranty audit comes in, they just pull up the RO numbers and they're there. So it's super easy.
Not to mention the labor that the dealership needs to go out and find pull those 100, because it's not a question of if that's going to happen. It's a matter of when that's going to happen. And
Correct.
You make it so easy for dealers. How do you help also with things like warranty labor rate increases at dealer scanning?
Exactly. It is similar to what a warranty audit does, is that now if you need this labor increase, you basically just pull 100 ROs, get them all together lined up instead of having to have someone dig them out of some file room, and then you send them out to your warranty to your manufacturer. So it's just a simple process. It makes it easy for the person that's doing it. Helps it easy for the managers, for your fixed up director, for your service manager. It's just one thing that makes their life easier.
And I got to come back to this because this is a typical dealership. This is the before, okay? And we can all relate to it. And I'm looking behind you. Is that the after? Is that the system set up on that desk right behind where you're sitting now?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. They get this system, and every advisor, warranty admins, people at the dealership will have a viewer so they can pull up their repair orders very easily, parts invoices, rental agreements. We keep it simple, yeah.
And it's really clean. And, it doesn't get any more real world than we just showed you helping the ladies at the dealership to start using it and implement it. And you're hands-on, Cesar. You do that yourself, but you don't just do the back of the store, do you? You're scanning deal jackets and custom items. Tell us more about that.
Right, exactly. So a couple of years ago, as we saw the need for more scanning, our clients were saying, hey, you guys have done this RO stuff pretty amazingly because it's very simple. So we took the same concept and we added deal jacket scanning, and we call it custom items because it allows you to scan vendor receipts, HR documents, just any dealership document that needs to be stored instead of filed. We handle that for our clients. So it's a great add-on to our service. People usually start with the RO scanning, they love it, and then they come on board with the deal jacket scanning and the custom items. So yeah, it's been an incredible success.
And again, month to month, there's no big long-term commitment.
No, man, we're car guys, man, and we got used to these long contracts and complicated contracts that some vendors brought to our when we worked at the dealerships, and we don't want to be that guy. Our agreement is one page long, and yeah, we're just a partner. I mean, we want the dealership to succeed, want to make their life easier, and we do whatever it takes, man.
And I know you're a retail guy. You worked in dealership there in South Florida, and you're based in West Palm. But there's also a tremendous side of Cesar Augustus of dealer scanning that a lot of people don't know about. You told me the story. You and I went to lunch a long time ago, and you told me how you grew up in Colombia, and you've really decided to help give back, and you formed a soccer and technology foundation in Colombia. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you, Ted. And basically, due to the success for the company, and as I came from Colombia, I grew up with a single mom, so it was a tough time. But thanks to the United States, life has been incredibly different. So, given the education, given all the things we've done, especially around technology and my passion, I'm a huge sports fan. I know this theme is around basketball. I love basketball, but I love soccer ultimately. And what we did is we started a foundation in a city called Cali, Colombia, which is the southwest of Colombia. And we picked a very, very much a neglected area that's struggling because of the socioeconomic issues, obviously the drug trafficking, the guerrilla war. And we basically right now we're about 170 boys and girls. And we basically hire a coaching staff, some admin people. And we just actually last week we hire a full-time social worker that's going to work with each kid and their families to not only be able to come to our academy and practice soccer, but ultimately, Ted, what we want to do is we want to teach these kids some real 21st century skills, things that help me and my partner in our business, which is technology. We want to teach them how to do programming, database design, graphic design, website design. We want to teach them some communication skills, entrepreneurship skills, because that's ultimately what's going to help them as they get bigger. We're using soccer as a magnet. Obviously, it's Colombia. They love soccer there. It's the #1 sport. And we want to bring them in and nurture them through soccer. And then electives will be a database class. We're going to teach them English, maybe a web design class, things that will help them thrive in the future. So we're super excited. We're committed to this. Dealer Scanning is the major funding partner of this. We're also getting help from a lot of other people. And we have 3 different soccer leagues here in the United States collecting used cleats. We're just so fortunate here in the States that, kids grow up and they play with their cleats. They'll play 3 games and those things are basically new and they get stuck in someone's garage. So we have a drive of collecting these cleats. They're going to send them to us. We'll clean them up, we'll package them, and we'll send them down to Colombia and give them to kids that, quite frankly, Ted, they just don't have the resources, man. It's a tough area. So yeah, we're very excited. The thing's been going on for a year, and now we're just announcing it so that if anyone wants to support, just DM me, text me. You guys can find me. We would appreciate any support.
All right. That says a lot about you, Cesar. And I know you've been very philanthropic with a lot of the things that we've done here at the Roundtable as well. So on behalf of the Fixed Ops community, I want to thank you and Dealer Scanning for doing that. And everybody, when you work with Cesar at Dealer Scanning, you're working with the owner. You're talking right to the top. And as you can see, he's hands-on, he gets involved, he helps you get set up, and he helps you grow this system as well. And you want to know something? Our dealers have seen a tremendous amount of benefit, and you're also benefiting, young men and young women throughout the world and making this world a better place. So, Cesar, on behalf of the Fixed Ops Roundtable, thank you so much. Now, if our audience wants to reach out to you and find out more about how you can help clean up this filing system and get us into the modern age, how do we reach out to you, Cesar?
Yeah, so it's simple. Go to dealerscanning.com. There you'll see a 2-minute demo, which shows you exactly what we do. You can reach out to me at Cesar@dealerscanning.com or just give me a call, my cell phone. It's 561-385-8177. There's plenty of ways. We're all over social media. Yeah, simple Google search on Dealer Scanning. We're right there. But yeah, give us a call and we'll help you out.
And I don't say this that often, but I highly recommend Cesar and Dealer Scanning, everybody, because he will make a world of difference, and he'll help make this world a better place too. Cesar Augustus from Dealer Scanning at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Cesar, thank you so much.
Ted, like always, man, thank you. I just want to thank you and the whole Fixed Ops community for all the support. You guys are awesome, and it's a blessing to be here and be part of this.
Bringing us home this evening with only a few minutes remaining is a group who's known for their top-notch recruiting, and they are no doubt maximizing their talents. Entering the court now is the AutoMax panel.
Well, we've talked so much at this event already about the great resignation and retaining our top talent. And today, we want to invite our great A-list panel, starting with Joe Lockard from AutoMax Recruiting, who is going to lead the all-star panel that you see here on a incredible journey on this discussion. Joe, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. It's always great to be here. Number 3 here. We do have a wonderful panel. We have a new face on the panel, an old face, obviously, for Fixed Ops Roundtable conferences in general, but a new face joining the panel. I'd like to get around the room here as quick as we can. We do have a lot to get to, if you don't mind. First and foremost, our technician of the stars, Marco Zwanenburg. How are you today, Marco?
I'm great, Joe. How are you?
Good, good. Marco is one of the lead technicians at Naples Luxury Imports. How's 2022 treating you so far, friend?
Oh, it is good. It is good. Business is booming, so we're good. Thank you.
Good. Good. Thanks for being here as always. Up next is one of our new panel members, Tully Williams. Tully is Fixed Ops Director at the Nilo Company. How are you, sir?
Fantastic, my friend. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man. We were joking a little bit before the show that new panel members going to really push us to squeeze all this knowledge into 30 minutes, but looking forward to the challenge. Thanks for being here, Tully.
Thank you very much.
Next, Mike Weldon. Mike Weldon is Fixed Ops Director at Hansel Auto Group. Mike, welcome back, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me. Looking forward to this panel.
Yeah, man. How are things out on the West Coast?
Warm.
I know we talk about it every time. I swear I'm not an alcoholic, but we talk every time that you're in wine country. How are the wines this year out that way?
Well, we're going to use wine to water the plants this summer.
Oh, nice. Thanks for being on, Mike. I appreciate it. Next is Ann Lister. Ann is service manager for the Williams Auto Group. Ann, thank you for being here.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. You freezing your butt off up there with me?
Yeah, it's about 5 degrees here in upstate New York.
Solid.
Balmy 10, at the high point. So we're all good. Yeah, so I don't want to hear from Mike or Tully or Marco. Well, you all people are warm. You too, Shon. I don't care.
The best is our employees that live in Florida or California, and it's like 65 degrees out. And I check in on them. They got their hoodies on and their parkas and gloves. I'm like,
hoodies. They have their winter jackets on. Like serious. I'd be in shorts and a t-shirt.
I know. Cracks me up. Well, Ann, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it. Next, my good friend Shon Kingrey. Shon is Director of Fixed Ops with Step One Automotive Group. How are you doing, sir?
Good, Joe. Thank you for having me. It's an honor as always.
Yeah, man. It's great to be here. How we got to know each other a little bit over the past few months and found out you were a diehard Green Bay Packers fan and got to spend some time on the field at a game this year, right?
I did a couple times this year.
Nice, man. Good for you. Sorry it didn't work out this year.
Yeah, save me some money. Save me a Super Bowl ticket. I can say that.
Yeah, there you go, right? Well, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. Last, certainly not least, is Robert Stage. Robert, CEO, owner, and lead diagnostic technician for Stage One Mobile Diagnostics and Auto Repair. How are you today, sir?
Not too bad, Joe. I'd like to thank you and Ted for having me back on. I appreciate it. I'd like to thank Marco for inviting me like 6 months ago. Business is great.
Absolutely, buddy. Glad to have you.
Yep.
Yeah, I love having you on, man. And running a mobile shop, you bring a different angle to all this. It's kind of nice for all of us to get your take on everything. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely appreciate it.
All right, so like I said, I want to jump right in here. We have a lot to get through. Ted kind of alluded to it earlier in the intro that our past two panels specifically, we've talked a lot about things we have to do to try and find technicians, to recruit new technicians. And obviously, I personally know, you guys all know the pain, the struggle of finding talented technicians in this labor market, and really in any labor market, but especially right now. With that in mind, I feel like there's never been a higher importance placed on retaining the talent that we do have. Obviously we want to be growing, we want to be adding new people. Short of that, if we're not adding new, at a very minimum, we have to keep the good ones that we have. And I'd really like to take a look at this from a proactive angle, starting with that first day. When you find someone you like, you bring them on, you onboard them, you get them there. And really the entire relationship starts on that first day. This isn't, hey, it's 4 years down the road, you've had a rough relationship, and they're coming to you and saying, hey, so-and-so down the street's offering me a $2 an hour raise. Can you match it? That's really not what we're looking for here, because at that point, I think you guys know that the relationship's already damaged. And even if you keep them on, you're just kind of kicking the can down the road. So I want to try and look at this from a broader, more proactive standpoint of what can we do with the culture, tangibles, intangibles, everything across the board to make sure that we're making our technicians and all of our service and fixed ops employees, feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. With that in mind, Marco, I do want to start with you. You are an automotive technician. You are a very talented, high-skilled technician. And I'd love to hear it straight from you, my friend. And be honest, don't hold back here. If it's, hey, I just want more money, that's all right. Just tell us, I just need more money. But really, I'd love to hear directly from you. And then we'll kind of take it from there and get everyone else's real-world experience with this subject as well.
All right, thank you, Joe. Well, let's start with the money part. Of course, money is important. That's why we all go to work. Everyone I work with is a great bunch of guys, but I have my friends outside of this. Having said that, you can pay me $100 an hour. You can pay me $150 an hour. But if my life is a living hell at work, it is just not worth it. My situation was a little different getting into Naples luxury imports. In 2018, had a very dramatic life change. I lost my wife, so I became a single parent to our daughter. And the dealership I was working for, I spent over a decade with the star, master certified, awarded, you name it. They said, I'm sorry, we cannot accommodate your schedule. So
wow.
I went to another Mercedes dealership, and they said the same thing. And I ended up talking to the service director at Naples Luxury Imports, which I knew because he used to work at Mercedes. And he said, I'd rather have you for 1 day a week than not at all. And it's been working out perfectly. But the great thing about this place is birthdays are acknowledged. We have a list of birthdays hanging. It doesn't matter if it's detail, sales, accounting, technicians. We do, the owner is a great guy. He is typical GM, so more on the variable ops side than the fixed ops side, but he leaves the fixed ops management over to the people that know fixed ops and let them handle it. But in summertime, he has an ice cream truck come by. Everybody can get an ice cream. We have Christmas parties. We have vacation days, sick days. There's plenty of time of any kind of management in the shop, and that includes variable ops management. We're all a tight-knit group. It's not fixed versus variable. We all work together because we understand that there is no sales customer and there's no service customer. That customer is one and the same. It's a dealership customer. So it is just such a tight-knit group. We have so much fun. Of course, there's the daily struggles of having to work on these highly complicated cars, and Robert will back me up on this one. It's just sometimes you're just banging your head against the wall. Now, I've been in this business for 26 years, and this has been by far the best dealership that I've landed at. It's been great. I'm glad I made this choice. Even though I had to switch brands and relearn, I have a lot of support, a lot of respect. And one of the things that always gets me is like once a month, the shop foreman walks through the shop to take a list of shop supplies. Hey, you need anything? Any tools are broken? Any this? And not anything you want, but all the necessities are in place, and that keeps it well oiled and great running.
Nice. Well, and look, I knew I should have started with you, and I'm glad I started with you because that was awesome. So thank you very much. But you almost could have stopped right like 5 minutes in. You did a nice job painting the picture. But when you spoke about what you went through in life with your wife passing and the way you were treated with a previous employer, and then you go somewhere to where they get it and they want to treat you like a human being and they want you to be a part of their family and their team. I mean, that's how you keep somebody. That's how you make someone feel wanted and feel like you actually matter. And I think a lot of the times that's what we hear from technicians as well is, you're right, the money has to be in place, the dollars have to be there, but the dollars are there at a lot of different places. There's options. I could go get the same money at other places, but it's those other things and treating someone with respect that I think really speaks.
It's the respect and getting back to that. We are technicians, but we are people.
Right.
We're seasonal here in Naples, so that means at this time of year, it's really work is everywhere. We can handle it. We're like 4 or 5 weeks out on appointments at this point. But don't ask me to come in at 5 in the morning and stay till like 10 at night every day to catch up on this. I'm a human being. I have my breaking point.
Yep. Yeah. And thank you again, Marco, and thanks for sharing the personal story and everything. It really means a lot. Thank you. And Robert, I want to come to you. I apologize. I always forget, because you are the owner of your company, that you are still hands-on and you are still rolling up your sleeves and doing the work. And as I mentioned in the intro, I do love getting your perspective because it's a little different than all of our perspectives. And I know we talked on the previous one that you're even more challenged to find technicians given your business model and the fact that you guys are mobile. Bring in that unique perspective of you both have to recruit, keep a team together and have been on the other side of it, and still on the other side of it as far as rolling up your sleeves and doing work. What matters to you and what has in the past as a technician, and what do you see as being most important to keeping your team together and making sure your company is successful?
Well, the thing that Marco went into is exactly what I was going to bring up this evening. Was a lot of times as technicians, especially in either the aftermarket or in the dealership, technicians typically are not treated as human beings sometimes. I've been on both sides of the counter. I've been a service director. I've been a service manager. I've been a technician. And there's a lot of times when I would have liked to have had a day off, or, if there's, any type of thing like that. Sometimes you're just not afforded those things. And when I was running Germain, Jaguar, and Land Rover, one of the things I always done as a service director was I never asked somebody why they needed the day off, what was going on. If they came to me and they had the gumption to ask, I was perfectly fine with saying, as long as it doesn't damage the business, that's perfectly fine. If you need to go, you might give up one of your tickets. A technician may have to come in and, make sure a customer's taken care of. But at the end of the day, I mean, everyone's human beings and everyone wants to be treated a certain way. And, there's some equality that has to happen in that. So that was one of the things that I've seen, and things I don't see in shops even today still, because it is still pretty cutthroat. It's dog eat dog. And at the end of the day, I mean, you have to treat your people well. You can't just continually abuse or continually, act like, well, you're a machine. I have to have you do this. This has to get done.
Sure.
So.
And, and like I said, I keep coming back to the money. It's funny. I made a checklist of things that I thought were important, and money's at the top, but I think it's really refreshing that we really haven't even got to that yet, and I think when you do it right from get-go, that never becomes a factor. And that's all built in too. If you see someone doing a great job, you're going to give them more money. The money's going to take care of itself. But when you're treating someone like a human being and treating them with respect, their ears aren't even open. They're not even talking to AutoMax recruiting because they're happy where they're at. So they're not going anywhere. So we don't even bother with them.
That's correct.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you sharing. All right. Well, switching gears a little bit, going over, back into retail world and hearing from a fixed ops director, Tully Williams. I want to throw it over to you. Based off your extensive experience running the fixed ops department for Nilo, and just building off what these two gentlemen said, what do you think is at the top of your list in regard to keeping a talented team of technicians together? That is hard to say, man.
Their stories are real, and here's where it starts. It starts with the trust when you hire the person that day. If you're going to be in business, as we are for 100 years, we all treat people with respect and honor, and it starts with your dealer, then your general manager and your managers. If your dealer and general manager don't believe in culture, culture will not be at your store. Your store must believe, no matter if you're a porter, detailer, technician, service writer, and of course the sales department, they're all people and all should be treated the same. But when it comes to technicians, which is a hard source of people to find, it starts with that trust when you first interview and talk about your store and what's different. When you walk out and they're all cooking breakfast on the flat top or they're smoking ribs in the smoker, you know you got great culture. And we can walk out and say, here's your pay plan for your path, my good friend. The pathway to $55 an hour is in writing. It starts with trust and show the culture of your store. Walk them in the back, introduce them to the team.
Absolutely. I love it. I love that you hit on day one. That's a big one for us, and it's forgotten a lot. Honestly, when Tim and I were workshopping ideas of what we want to talk about this time, I was between this and going even a step before this with onboarding and interviewing that first day, because that's when you set the stage. I mean, that person walks in, you have a resume, you have some certifications, but you don't know the person yet. I mean, you're building a relationship with a potential future employee right there, and you got to show them how you guys do it, how you run things, and that, like you said, you have a culture to begin with, and it's a culture that they want to be a part of.
100%.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Mike Weldon, I want to throw it over to you. Obviously, you have a ton of experience in this matter as well. What are you guys seeing out there? What has helped you hold on to some of your longer tenured technicians?
Well, it gets back to what two gentlemen before me said, that you got to build relationships, and you got to do it right out of the get-go, and you got to be sincere. There's a lot of people that'll give you a speech when you come in, and then when you get there, it's completely the opposite of what you expected. And I work really hard to make sure that our managers stand up to the mission statement that we put into play, because that's the toughest thing. Because once you breach that trust, you lose all credibility, and then people are always looking for another avenue to go, no matter what you pay for them. Just like Marco said, it's not about pay; it's about culture, it's about relationships. We even had taken it so far that we built a voice of the technician group, that we allow these technicians to come, and managers are not allowed, and they speak their mind, and then we work off of that. So this whole culture has changed, and I think once we all grasp it and we all start to understand it, you'll see that you'll see less people moving around and more people building their future with the companies that they start with.
Right, absolutely. Can I put you on the spot and ask what the mission statement is, Mike?
Well, it's right behind me. I'll turn around. So you'll see my bald spot. Caring drives us, customers, coworkers, and community. And it's all about collaboration, community, and innovation and excellence. Took us over a year to work that out.
Nice.
And there was a lot of thought that went into that.
Yeah. Well, and I know from working with you guys, it's not fluff by any means. I mean, a lot of people can throw a mission statement on a wall, but when you're really starting there, and the entire dealership trickles down from the owner, dealer principal, variable, fixed, everyone's living that every day. People see it. That voice of the tech thing, that is genius. I'd love, man, you could record those and you could make $1 million off a YouTube channel with a hidden camera in that room. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we've even put together one of the gals that worked for us. She was in HR, and we moved her and put her into a employee relation, community relationship role, and she has pulled everything together. And she knows nothing about service. She just knows about people, and that's where you got to start.
I love it, man.
I can teach a trade. I just can't teach kindness and sincerity and trust. That has to come from the soul.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing, man. I appreciate that. And you're next. What What man, we've had some good stuff here. This is some feel good stuff. I really didn't expect it to go in this direction. I'm glad it did. This is awesome. This is the type of stuff that we promote internally, and the type of hires we make, and how do we keep people on. What are some practical applications, real life applications, things you have done up there to make sure you're keeping people happy?
So it is absolutely about culture and trust. And as managers, we have to find out what motivates our technicians. Are they motivated by time? Are they motivated by money? Are they motivated by praise? And one thing that I've realized is, yes, everybody has a life outside of work. So, and we have to acknowledge that. So we are very flexible. I have guys come to me and say, hey, Andy, I forgot. I have a dentist appointment today. Can I go? No problem. We can usually cover or Andy, my child is sick, I have to go home. No problem. We really have to have that work-life balance. And also another thing is, when your technicians, and maybe after a couple of days, you're like, Bob Smith is off. You have to kind of dive in, because obviously maybe there's something going on outside of work that they're bringing into work. So it's very important to know your technicians and know a little bit about, if they're off, find out why. Bring them in. Can I help? Do you need some time off? So those are things my technicians call it Annie love. They'll say, hey, John Smith needs some Annie love. So I'm like, okay, so something's going on. Not even work related, but yet it's very important to them. So I bring them in, and we have a little Annie love conversation. And how can I help you? What can we do? And that's, and the money, again, the money has to be there, but these other things are priceless. So if you have the flexibility, you have the understanding, and you know what motivates your team, they're not going to leave, because it really is a cutthroat world out there. So for me, they all, they call me mom. I am like, listen, you're all older than me, a lot of you. But it's that nurturing. It's that, it's that caring about their life outside of work.
Right. And I love the overriding theme that you hit on there is getting to know them and getting to know what motivates, what drives, what makes each of them tick, both from a personal and a professional standpoint. Because you're right, it might not be the same motivating factor or what is going to put a smile on their face. And look, if it is money and they just need that financial recognition, that's fine. But it usually comes from a different place, and it comes accompanied with something. It's more just the recognition and knowing that, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. Here's what we're going to do. And I keep hearing the life balance thing come up over and over again, and that's awesome.
Yeah. If there's something going on with a technician that is out of the norm, don't ignore it, because obviously, you'll know if it's work related, and obviously a lot of times it's not. So let them know you care and you want to help, and give him that opportunity to make it right with their own personal life, because that is, what motivates a lot of people.
Right. Absolutely. And, I appreciate you sharing all that. And I love the approach that you're taking. Shon, I'd like to kick it over to you as well. Obviously, we've had a lot of interesting things brought up. I know a lot about your group as well now from the time that we've spent together. I know how they operate. I know that they gave you some time when you needed some time recently. I'm assuming that's extended to your technicians, and you guys do a number of things to take care of your guys as well.
It is, and I know on the previous panels I've discussed, and I'll back into our story, Joe, is, I can say that I know all my technicians' names. I know my technicians' wives. I know their wives and girlfriends' names.
Wow.
And guys, we have 19 rooftops, and I'm proud to say that. I can't say all the loop tech, but the mainline guys, you got to know what makes them tick. You have to know which technician needs a spanking every morning and which technician needs a hug. Or on the other point, you need to know what technician doesn't want you to talk to them every morning, because it drives them nuts and they go off the deep end. But, kicking back to where we started this conversation, I'll go back to where Joe and I spoke a week ago, where, we hired Joe's company a while back to find us technicians. And for me, being in this business almost 28 years now, that's shocking to think you got to hire a headhunter to hire technicians. Yeah. But we did. And Joe brings us a candidate, and I'll run through the story as quick as I can. This is a candidate that comes out of New Mexico that we're going to fly to Florida. But to go above and beyond, the gentleman flies in, he arrives at midnight. I pick him up at the airport, and this isn't about me. But this is so he knows how important he is. By the way, never met the gentleman, talked to him on the phone. That's it. We pick him up, or I pick him up at the airport. I take him to the hotel. I pick him up in the morning, and then for the next 8.5 hours, we cater this guy like you've never seen before. He has an hour with the CEO. He has an hour and a half with the store director. He has an hour and a half with the technician panel to tell him that he's not a threat, because the dealership he comes from, he was beat on, and it's, stealing and the robbing, and we don't have that culture here. And it's how times have changed. And, by the end of the day, the poor guy's sitting in the chair. It looks like he wants to pass out because he's so tired. But he said, I've never seen anything like this. But that's where we're at now. That's what it takes. Because to your point, it doesn't take money. We pay $35 an hour with a $15 an hour bump for our production. $50 a flat rate hour. And in Destin, Florida, that's all the money. It's not about the money. It's about the mix. And we talked a little bit before we got on camera about, HR was in my office earlier, and I'm probably not the HR guy you want to talk to, but it's mental well-being now. And for me, being 50 years old and 28 years in the car business, what is mental well-being? That went away. Could you imagine saying that 10 years ago? But that's where we're at. It is the work-life balance that matters to people. Not everybody's built the way we are. And now we're not in whatever generation we're in now, it is a completely different culture. It's a different person. It's different people. And it takes above and beyond to recruit, above and beyond to retain, and above and beyond to make sure that they know they're important. Because I'll go back to what Marco said. They're people. You can't forget they're people. And by the way, they're high grossing people. We're making a ton of money in fixed operations.
Right. And I'm glad you brought up the example, because I didn't want to put it out there for everybody.
Yeah.
So thanks for mentioning that. Shon sent us the itinerary of what they were going to do with this guy once he gets into town, who he's meeting with, who he's talking with. I shot it over to my father, who's a 50-year automotive industry person, and he was blown away. He said, I've never seen anything like that. So we've come that far on the fixed op side. So this is how we are now treating even potential employees. I think it says a lot to what you have to do and the face that you have to put forward to make someone feel like they're special and bring them on board. That was awesome. We were all very impressed with the things that you did for him. So look, we didn't really get to it, and I did want to talk about money a little bit. And the reason I wanted to talk about money is just because this whole idea of, we hit on starting from the beginning, creating the culture, and those are all great, but I think you got to check in every once in a while. And I do think part of the check-in needs to be not, hey, do you want to raise, or, hey, could you use more money? But some type of outside market analysis to where you are looking at what's going on out there, what is being offered. You want to make sure you're not too far off from some of the other opportunities out there, because the things that we're talking about are great, but if there's someone else who creates a similar culture and is offering significantly more money, that can create a problem. I'm going to kind of throw it out there openly here, and any one of you are free to jump in on this. This isn't going up and asking someone if they want to raise. Have any of you done, similar kind of market analysis, recon, seeing what competitors are paying and making sure that you're competitive with your current tech?
I'll take that real quick if you don't mind, Joe, because Joe, you and I have had this conversation where you talk about competitors, and this is where I'll lean on Tully and Ann and Mike, and nothing against Robert or Marco, is you have to know who your other dealers are, because at the end of the day, they really aren't your competitors. The amount of vehicles that we're selling, guys, there's enough vehicles to go around. As Marco said, they're scheduling 3 or 4 weeks out. I've got stores 28, 20, 29 days out. They're not your competitors. You might as well get them on your side, by the way, because then you can recruit them too. But you might as well get them on your side. And listen, and I'll be very candid, when we do labor rate analysis, it's not a conflict. We talk about it. When we talk about what we're paying technicians, we talk about it. We are in a group together. You can call it a 20 group of 4 different fixed ops directors in my area, and we talk on a regular basis. They're on my side. It isn't competition. We have a gentleman's agreement that we don't rob from each other. But if Robert comes and applies with me out of respect, I'll let them know I'm going to close him. I'm going to own him, but I won't recruit him actively. Yep. And with that, guys, it stops the rolling of the toolboxes. Being from Minnesota, and I know Ted had talked about the Walzer group earlier. You had toolboxes coming and going every weekend. There's no benefit in that. All you're doing is paying to train somebody else. So again, know your competition, know your competitor, and you got to be partners with them. because they can help you or they can hurt you either way.
Now, I have to say something about the competitor part of that, Shon. Glad you brought it up, but we should look further than just other dealers. HVAC, electricians, marine, plumbers. There's a lot of our exactly. Thank you, Robert. There's a lot of our talents that, like Robert and I have, that could be easily transferred with a little bit of training and certifications to a high-paying job with half the stress of the dealership world. Because let's face it, automotive industry, no one chose it because we didn't want any stress.
Yeah, right.
So that's our competitors too. So we have to look at that. And I think that one of the problems is that I'm hearing it all the time on LinkedIn. Oh, there's a technician shortage. There's no technician shortage. For such a long time, fixed ops has seen technicians as just the wreck of the mud. A dime a dozen guys that we're highly skilled, highly trained. When is the last time you had a salesperson pay for their own computer on their own tablet, their own paper, their own paper clips? We invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in the tools that we work with every day. Our knowledge is just bar none. All the training we have to go through on a continuous basis. And for the longest time, it was just like, technicians. Now, all of a sudden, everyone was like, oh, boo-hoo-hoo, we can't find anyone. No, because you kicked us out because you didn't treat us as human beings. Money is secondary. Pay me what I'm worth.
Yep.
Simple. But first and foremost, I'm a human being. I want respect. I want dignity. I want input.
Yeah, great points. I'm glad you brought up the other industries because that's what we see on the recruiting side more often than not. And we've talked about it on the panel. It's not so much about leaving to go to another dealership, another independent repair shop. It's I'm done working on cars, period. I'm going to go to another industry and use my mechanical skills and be taken care of the way I deserve to be taken care of. Tully, did you want to jump in? It looked like you had a few things to say too.
I think that when you look at, we're talking about tech wages. I think that, we have a technician that retired at 52 years. We actually named the service drive by his name, Mr. Luke. But I think it starts with making sure your market, as Shon said, he's spot on. We're not in competition. We have a lot of luxury brands. I'm not in competition with the Mercedes-Benz store. But I think that we want to make sure that we're competitive. But we also need to make sure that the technicians know the pathway for a raise. They need to know that if they are working, just because they work here a long time, doesn't mean they get a pay raise. But if they want to train, we pay. We pay for anything. If we want to train and hit those markers, we're going to pay you more money. And we want to give raises in between that. So the pathway in California, of course, we have to start at $30, but the pathway is to $55. And there is a pathway there. So when the guy comes in like, can you give me a raise? We're going to go out. You passed the test. You got a raise. Hallelujah. Make it fun. God bless America.
There it is.
Knew it was coming.
I was waiting for that, Tully.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that.
We always are.
He didn't let you down.
Thanks, Tully.
Wow. Hey, Joe, you've done this 3 times. This has got to be the best panel by far.
Yeah, man. It's just going to keep getting better. My job's easy. These guys take it.
And, look at the direction, several directions this has gone, right? And I hear, Tully, a recurring theme throughout the Fixed Ops Roundtable since your keynote is that culture. And, Shon, it means so much throughout the whole dealership, and listening to what Marco and what Robert have to say, it's really key. And your conversations are very real world. What you're sharing with us. And Mike, I didn't pay enough attention to the fact that you've got that whole mission statement built right into the logo behind you there. And I know that Justin and Dave and yourself have worked very hard, to build that and to make it what it is. I could see folks doing that. So, Joe, we got to come back. We got to do this again.
Yeah, anytime, man. I'm always here.
I love it. So, Joe, if our audience wants to reach out to you and work with you at AutoMax Recruiting, as I see that some of you are already doing here on the panel, Joe, how do we get a hold of you at AutoMax?
Yeah, so our website is automaxrecruitingandtraining.com. Probably easier to find me on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. My email and cell phone are there at the bottom if you ever just want to call and pick my brain and see what we're seeing and hear what we're hearing. I'm always available.
And I see that you're picking up a lot of best practices. I love what Shon shared with us, about what he did with the technician and the itinerary and the agenda and the whole
Very
thing.
impressive.
And Joe, you're doing a whole lot with fixed operations, more and more from what I see now.
Yeah, I mean, we're at, probably 65-70% of our overall recruiting is in the fixed ops world. It's really flipped for us in the past 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's going to only grow.
Yes, sir.
Joe Lockard, everybody here today with the all-star panel at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
It used to be that finding the right talent for your car dealership could get a little hairy. Maybe you were just looking in the wrong places. But now that's all changed. At AutoMax Recruiting and Training, we've helped recruit, screen, and place over 180,000 retail automotive professionals in every department. Along with our robust in-person training programs, with AutoMax, you'll be pushing the hire button in no time. AutoMax Recruiting and Training. Any other retail automotive talent search is positively primitive.
Do you have a great product you want to get in front of auto dealers across the country, and specifically their fixed ops departments? Their service, parts, and body shop? For over 15 years, Fixed Ops Magazine has been putting service-related products like yours in front of franchise auto dealers across the country. There simply is no better way to reach every dealer in the USA all at once. Hi, I'm Ron, the publisher of Fixed Ops Magazine, which is both a digital at fixedopsmag.com and print magazine that reaches out to over 38,000 subscribers who influence what products are purchased in the over 16,000 dealers across the country. Fixed Ops Magazine may even publish your article about a topic you are an expert and have a real passion for it in this industry. Every article has the author's contact info so they can reach you. Write an article, run an ad, and an e-blast. We call that our bundle for success. You won't believe how great a deal it is. So to get started, call, text, or email me and I'll tell you more. We are 100% devoted to the franchise stores so we don't waste your time or money. We are laser focused on your prospects. Fixed Ops Magazine, the #1 way to get your product in front of auto dealers today. www.fixedopsmag.com. Ron at fixedopsmag.com. 714-803-5476. Fixed Ops Magazine, the #1 way to get your product in front of auto dealers today.
What talent we've seen during day 2 of March Magic. And stay tuned for day 3 tomorrow morning, where you will see all-stars like Frank Lopes, Becky Chernick, Peter Fong, and the fan favorite, Greg Pinsky. The stakes are high for the final day of March Magic, and you won't want to miss it. Signing off now from Press Row. I'm Kara Delaine. See you tomorrow at 9 a.m.